You can check it for live.
But then can you put your phone next to you so then if something is wrong?
My phone is right here next to me. We're ready to go. Should be coming up live real soon here. Let's go on mute. Okay, it looks like we are live.
Awesome.
Man, that was tough.
Cool.
being
That
muted.
was all right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today in the studio we have Anthony and Ashley, who are the proud owners of Local H2O here in Pacific Beach. If you're a local, go check them out. What street are we on?
Gresham and Garnett.
Gresham and Garnett. I've been getting my water there for the last month. It's been awesome. As you can tell, I look great. But
True story.
that's right, true story. So today, in the studio, we're going to talk about how these two got to where they are today, what they've been up to, right? That's what I want to know. How the heck did you guys decide to open a water store, and where did that idea come from? So let's just start really simply at where did this idea come about? That all of a sudden you're like, water store.
I wish it were more interesting, but I feel like Anthony's just always been an entrepreneur.
Okay.
He's like with buying and selling motorcycles and surfboards and
Swap meet.
swap meets.
Right,
you
right.
know.
I saw that. You used to do that a lot. You used to like have big stands out, a bunch of little artifacts, some even
Everybody else's
antiques.
stuff.
Yeah. So you kind of were always in like the scrapping,
Absolutely.
mindset, like hustling really hard.
Absolutely. Since I was a kid, my parents, they always had like antiques and just other things like in the house that we found and
Right.
refurbished. And when me and Ashley first moved down here, we actually used to make money that way. We would go
Where did
get-
you move from?
Bakersfield, California.
So you're both from NorCal.
well,
Central
Central,
Valley.
Valley.
Central Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right,
I wouldn't
fair
say
enough.
NorCal, but yeah, Central Valley.
All right.
But
Central
yeah,
Valley.
both of our parents, I mean, our families both they yard sell, and his mom and dad have a spot at a 5 and Dime. So
It's an antique store.
it's an antique spot.
Got you.
And so
You ever see the show American Pickers?
Oh yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me
One of
whenever
the
I have people
best.
do it. It's just like such a good hustle. And now Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it, garage sailing
Oh, yes.
and flipping things.
Oh, we would go and they would piece out storage units, and we'd go and bid on
Auction.
Yep. Yeah. on
Ooh, have you
storage
found
units.
anything crazy, interesting, like
Oh my gosh.
unexpected?
Your George Dickel box was pretty cool.
Oh, that was cool. I sold that I think I bought it for like $10 and then sold it at a yard sale that I ran for like 50.
Who the heck is George Dickles?
It's a
So
whiskey
it's a
brand.
whiskey.
Oh, really?
This
Yeah.
lady, we got it at a yard sale. She said she had it since high school. And that was it's just a little wooden box.
Yeah.
It's this thing right here?
That right
That's
there.
it right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Didn't sell it for that.
I don't know. I sold it for 50 though.
That's not bad. Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice.
Is that
Good
the one that
profit.
they bought and they put it back on eBay?
They're trying to hustle you back.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like anytime we buy anything or sell anything, like we're always looking for a deal. So
Yeah.
we're always willing to give a deal. You know what I mean?
Got you.
So
Unlike the guy that we went to go try to get a car from today. Terrible experience. Anyway, don't want to derail the story.
That's
no,
okay.
please,
Give it
I
a deal.
always derail the story.
Wow.
I always
so
go off on tangents.
that's okay. We'll do that. We got a long time here. This isn't a podcast where we interrupt people with ads. So we're good. We got all the time in the world. Maybe other people don't, but we do. Anyway, so you started with hustling in these swap meets. And how the heck did the two of you meet first and foremost? Let's go back to that. Because you're both in this business together, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
51%, 49.
He wishes.
Oh, did you hear that,
Actually,
Mimi?
he made sure that we went to the lawyer's office together to sign the papers, and he made sure it said 50-50.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Well, that's fair. That's
50
fair.
50.
Yeah.
So how did the two of you meet? Let's start there.
So we actually went to high school together.
Aw, high school sweethearts.
Not quite.
No.
More like I'm a freshman, he's a senior.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And
We dated
Nice.
for a few months.
You were in that questionable zone.
I don't even know if it was for a few months, but we were, questionable zone, you know? Basketball player.
Ooh,
He was so cute.
I can tell he's tall.
Yeah, right?
How tall are you?
6 foot.
Okay, well, you look way taller than me because I'm short.
I
So
think it says 6'1" on his driver's license.
let's put
though.
6'1" on there. You know,
think
I'd like to tell people that I'm like 5'5.5" technically, but I say I'm like 5'6". But sometimes I'll tell people I'm like 5'4". It depends on what day it is.
I haven't
You
grown
know.
since I've been 17 years old. I was 6 foot and 3/4 of an inch.
Wow.
So to be official.
So
Never hit
dated for a
6'1".
few months in high school,
Yeah.
and then what happened?
Well, I mean,
Separate paths.
I was a freshman, he was a senior, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So,
So
we just kind of went on our own paths and life happened and you ended up reaching out to me through Facebook, actually.
Aw.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The only reason I
And-
created a Facebook account.
say that again. What, the bottle? It's in the screen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
you can
girl,
move
take
it.
it. You're part of this too.
You're part of this now. You're my
This
young
would-
Jamie.
This wouldn't
Yeah, that's
happen
right.
without you.
That's right.
Yeah, so we dated quickly in high school, and then we'd both been married before, and we had just separated from our exes.
Got you.
And so we were both, I mean, not necessarily really just back on the market, but we were just kind of doing our own thing, living our life
Yeah.
back again. And he reached out to me through Facebook. This was April or May or something of 2009.
9.
And I do my job at the time, and I've been doing this job for 18 years.
Right.
I do cheer camps. So I used to, where I
What does
work,
NCA stand for?
National Cheerleaders Association.
Okay, I didn't know if it was committee or
Yeah.
what, so I was trying to figure that out
Yeah.
earlier.
And
Okay.
so I would do camps all summer long. And so we chatted a little bit through Facebook and kept kind of missing each other. But then he asked for my phone number, and I think
He's
from
like,
like,
let me just stop this Facebook
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah,
Let's
'cause
go
I mean-
about this the
Yeah.
old-fashioned way.
Yeah,
Let's
and-
get in touch already
Yeah,
and
so
meet up.
he
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
I
he
feel
called
that.
me, and I wasn't home. I mean, I travel all summer long, so I wasn't home until basically the end of August. But we talked on the phone
Like old school talked on the phone.
almost on a daily
Absolutely.
Put some serious hours in on the phone.
for hours.
Like
Man,
she'd
I
be
know what that's
driving
like.
for like 4 or 5
Just like
hours.
listening to air noise, but you know the person's there, and they'll be like, "What? What'd you say?" Even though you're both doing different things.
Yeah, and
I
her
mean-
AC was out in her Ford Taurus.
And,
So
and you had to be hands free at that time, so I was like had a Bluetooth, and you couldn't really hear with the
Old
windows
school
down.
Bluetooth?
Yeah, so you couldn't
All the
really
way to
hear.
here?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Couldn't hear with the windows down, and I had no air conditioning, so all my windows were up, and I'm just like in the high desert or a NorCal area, and I'm just like dripping sweat. Like
Wow.
I was determined to like chat with him. So
Aw,
Oh,
so cute.
me too, my love. Me too.
Wow, this is where love happens in
Yeah,
Blossom Media
so,
Studio, ladies and gentlemen.
but in seriousness, we've literally been inseparable ever since
So, what year was that again?
2009.
2009.
Wow, so it's been like 10 years, literally now.
Yeah, November.
Absolutely.
We made it like official in November of 2009.
It's
so.
not quite there.
Yeah, we played the cool guy, cool girl thing for a
Yeah.
while. Like, oh, we're not together.
Like,
and then-
just separate.
No labels, you know.
Wasn't
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that ghost.
So you were
Strictly
doing
hanging out.
So let me get this straight. So you guys dated in high school for a little while, and then went your separate ways. Life happens as it does. Things change. You're both happen to be single, start connecting with each other, but you're very heavily involved with cheerleading, teaching young girls how to, and maybe guys too. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
In that cheerleading world, which I don't know much about, what I would like to have you talk about. And you're at this point in your time doing.
I was working at Nestle Ice Cream Company.
Ooh, you were ice cream man.
I was actually working in the freezer in the palletizing department for a while, and then when we actually met, I was part of the environmental health and safety department.
Okay.
So I was there for like.
So you were always kind of like the type of guy who would be inspecting and looking, making sure all the equipment's up to par and making sure everything's being put out right, which is what I love. Because if you guys know where you're getting water, you don't want to be drinking water that's not treated properly.
Absolutely. I mean,
Exactly.
I have dreams about working there still. Like, I mean, it was such a great job.
Beautiful.
I loved it. It took me from when I was 23 till I was like, I believe like 28,
Gotcha.
maybe even 23 to 28 years old. And it was a great opportunity. It was always 35 degrees.
35 degrees.
And
it's cold.
Our freezing tunnels were, we had a stacking station with 0, and then we had freezing tunnels that were up to like negative 40 to 60 with the wind chill. It was
Ooh,
really,
that sounds really cold.
It was really cool.
Wow.
We were all machine operators.
Gotcha.
Automatic palletizing machines, automatic
So what are the
stacking.
hours for that kind of a job, man?
I started out as graveyard, 11 at night till 7 in the morning.
Ooh,
tough.
this guy knows how to do it.
10:30 at night till 7 in the morning. Then I got on second shift, which is 2:30 in the afternoon till 11 at night, which was great. I did that forever, for the duration. I think I was only on third shift for like about 6 months to a year. Then I went on second shift, and it was a great opportunity. I loved being there. It taught me so much about myself, so much about other people, how to work with different personalities. We had a
That's
lot.
so cool because I would have thought, somebody that works those kinds of hours would probably think like they have such a shitty life, or they're like, destined to fail. Basically, they consider themselves.
But I think it's Anthony. Like I'm going to be like the bribing wife right now. But what makes him so great is that he always sees the good in everything, and he's such a hustler. So it's like, somebody would like hate working overnight. He just does what needs to get done.
Yes.
Like he just does.
Where did that come in you? What do you think? How did that? I mean, were you just like, is
parents,
it
for
parents?
sure.
Or what is it?
I watched my dad and mom work hard growing up.
And what did they do?
My dad, he's a PE teacher and a basketball coach.
Gotcha.
And later went into
administration?
Okay.
So
and mom?
in high school, and my mom, she didn't work really when we were growing up. She was a stay-at-home mom, but she also
Which is a lot of work.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
But you know what she
But
did?
they have their side hustle.
I think when I was in 4th grade, she decided to because they used to have rental houses, right?
Yeah.
And they used to do a lot of work on that. So not really a stay-at-home mom, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
But she decided to start cleaning houses, and she always had cash. Like, we wanted to go to like the surf shop. Mom has cash.
Parents always prepared for it. Wow,
Yeah.
very cool.
And so that really helped me. I used to clean houses with her when I was really young, and
Or they'd have
also-
to repair something or paint, and so
my
the
dad
kids
did
would
everything.
be in there.
Yeah, my dad did everything around the house.
Gotcha.
Like, not like that. My mom didn't do it. My mom and dad did everything around the house. They didn't call people in to fix the air conditioner or paint the house or, do anything like that. So
So you just figured all of that out, and you picked that up, those skill sets from your dad. And
absolutely.
that's pretty good. So you were always kind of like, when there's a problem at hand, you were raised to dive into it rather than run away from it and learn from it potentially that way.
I feel if somebody can do it, then
Yeah.
I can do it too.
That's a good
That's
way to
like
look at
my-
it.
He's a quick
mentality.
learner. You just have to show him once, and he
Yeah.
figured it out.
That's very, very good. So at this time, when you were doing these graveyard shifts, you hadn't met yet again back in
No.
your life, right? So
No.
this is still earlier on. So then what were you doing right about the time when you two met? Same stuff, or were you into a different?
I was working for Nestle. I was working for the Environmental Health and Safety Department.
Got you.
So
Okay.
that was pretty good. I was on first shift. Well, I was on like a swing shift. I do like different shifts, but we were seeing each other and talking with each other, and then she was on. You were just finishing working for Abercrombie at the time.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. I was a general manager for Abercrombie and Fitch.
While you were doing the cheerleading stuff?
Yeah, because it was typically just
see.
a summer job.
Ah, okay.
And then during the year, we would work competitions.
So what were you doing for Abercrombie?
So I was the general manager.
Like the stores?
Yeah, well, for one.
Okay.
So I've ran the one in Bakersfield, the one in 3rd Street Promenade, Glendale Galleria, Sherman Oaks. I mean, I've kind of moved around and lived.
I'm seeing, you know what I'm seeing? I see like she's got like the front end customer side covered, and you've got like the technical, tactical back end all
Absolutely.
like frameworked out and everything.
I don't know, dude. He's such a people person.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We were hanging out at the store the other
That's
day
right.
for like a good hour.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I came home and Mimi's like, where were you? I'm like, oh, it's just the water,
Water
store.
store.
Yeah, the water store.
A long time to go to the water store.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had to get some water today. But yeah, no, for sure. He is like that. But so the two of you are starting to like figure this out, and you get together. And at that time, you just recently started this business, but I want to talk a little bit about, were you doing other side hustles at the time? You
Yeah.
know, like to figure out like,
So when we moved down here,
which is when?
it took Anthony like 6 months probably to talk me into moving down here, just because our families are all in Bakersfield, and so it's
Gotcha.
kind of hard for me to leave. And so when he finally talked me into it, I was like, okay, here we go. And like we had a 3-bedroom condo and we literally loaded up his truck. I mean, it was
Wow.
hilarious. Like completely loaded
With the
down.
trailer.
Definitely not taking the stuffed animals. None of that.
No.
And we had a garage full of stuff.
Yeah, we had a garage full of stuff. I mean, we were pickers basically, you
Right,
know,
right.
and so we didn't want to leave our stuff. And so we ended up getting a storage unit in Bakersfield, but like bringing as much as we could here to
Yeah.
San Diego. But we moved here without jobs. I mean,
Wow.
Got
Very
approved for an
bold.
apartment without jobs.
yeah.
Very, very bold.
Yeah. And,
You guys just like take high risks over here.
but
was
you know,
serious.
that's why like with Anthony, I just, oh wait, he's like such a hustler. Like I know that we'll never be on the streets because I know he will always work his butt off to make sure that we're taken care of. And so when we moved down here, we didn't even know where our income was going to come from.
But you must have had money saved at that time, or not? You no.
Not really.
Some money, but not much.
Just thought about just saying. Screw
I mean,
it.
but I
I mean,
had-
maybe like a couple months of rent.
So I had gotten let go from Abercrombie, and they were just tired and sick of me after 6 years.
What?
And I know it was so good. I still
You're
have
like
dreams
the-
about
you-
working for that place.
You're
I
the perfect
loved it.
person to work at Abercrombie. You're blonde. You're, I think you have bluish eyes.
Thanks.
Thank
greenish
you.
eyes.
I
I
don't know.
say green,
They're,
but
I was gonna say greenish bluish. They look. It
it
depends on
depends on
what
what
the
I'm
color
wearing.
of the light is.
They're
right.
blue.
They're more blue than green.
I agree.
Okay. Well, thank you.
How far are you on Game of Thrones?
I'm on the last episode of season 7.
Do you know about the Night King? You do.
I don't know. Let's just stop talking about it.
Well, he's got blue eyes.
because
that's
I
all.
feel like
We'll
I
end
feel
it
like
there.
somebody's
watched-
gonna ruin
We'll
it.
end it
Yeah, I watched the first episode of the 8th season. So,
Okay.
and then I stopped because I was like, I'm going to watch it over. And like, all of a sudden, the second episode into the first season. No, the first season.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The second episode.
See,
in
I
the
just
first
try
season,
to blank out anything. when
they're
somebody
talking about
talks.
Jon Snow, and he's like talking to his dad, and he's like, "When am I gonna, can you tell me about my mom?" And he's
Oh,
like, "I'll
no.
tell you next time I see you."
Oh yeah.
And then it came back full circle. I was like, "Okay, I got to watch this whole season over." So I started watching it again. Then Ashley's like, "Okay,
There's
I'll
so
watch
many
Now I'm
subtle things
stuck.
in that show that you really
like,
do have to.
so-
I am catching up, and I'm like, wait, I wish I could remember what episode, because I'm kind of binge watching it, right? I now have, I'm not doing anything that I should do because any extra time, or I carve out time to watch the show.
Yeah.
It's
Because
so,
business owners, life serious.
so
Absolutely.
bad. And so
People
I'm
need their water,
Yep.
Anthony.
Ew.
Absolutely.
like, dude, but that's why he's there on a
9:30
daily so I can catch up on my
9:37 every
Game
day.
of Thrones.
That's right. We're gonna get to that. We might have to fix some of that because I
Yeah.
might want Anthony to come out here for a little while.
I mean, he's fun.
I
It's fun.
agree. We're
Yeah,
working on that.
We're working on it. Yeah.
She actually sent me a text today about because she went to an event that one of our buddies had in Oceanside at Breakwater Brewery, and he interviews skaters and skaters that are coming up, pros,
Super
everybody.
cool.
He's awesome. He's been doing this for like 25 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
he had
And,
this chick on today. Her name was Victoria. Super badass looking chick. Like, she's a skater. She just got a role in that Booksmart movie because she's a skater.
Interesting.
And I guess the movie comes out later on this month. But yeah, he was interviewing a pro skater earlier, and then he was interviewing her. And
But the point of the story is like she's like, we need to work something out so you can have a day off.
Yeah.
So you can be here.
Yeah,
at
you're
these
there like
events.
every day.
well, kind of going full circle, like that's probably one of the hardest parts with now owning our own business is like beforehand when we moved down here and we had all this free time of scouring the alleyways and trying to find broken down bikes or
Eating
furniture that we
eating
could
Mr. Frosty.
Yeah.
And getting in the truck and driving up and down the alleys at night.
and just finding people's trash to refurbish it and sell it at the swap meet or put it online or Craigslist was the only thing.
So how long did
back
it take
then.
to like get the first sale going? So you just
it
moved
was
down.
immediately.
On,
Really?
on Craigslist, everything. And
So you were what time frame we're talking here now? 2000 and what?
10.
2010. So you guys were already kind of hustling, doing the online sales
eBay.
thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Craigslist,
Because we
eBay.
had remember we came down with a truck full and a trailer full of stuff,
Now this is stuff to sell, or this is personal items for you?
all the above.
Okay, but most of the stuff to try to sell.
That wasn't our intention,
Got you.
but
okay.
that just ended up being our reality when we moved down here without
Got to
money.
make money.
I was in hog heaven walking down these alleys going,
Well, people throwing kind of crazy stuff
whoa,
away.
you're throwing that bike away? All it needs is a new tube, in
tube.
the tire. Like,
Yeah,
then I can sell it,
It needs a new seat.
yeah. Well,
Easy.
like if you don't know how to work on this stuff, it's just easier to say, all right, I'm just going to replace it.
Yeah.
Right, which
Yeah.
is like what we were talking about here with you, with like this whole, I
I
don't
was
know what
thinking
that
about
gadget
throwing
thing.
this thing away. It's
That's what I was like-
$400 in the trash. And I was like, oh
man.
my God.
Yeah, but you tinkered with it and
Yeah,
you
somehow it
fixed
worked.
it. See?
Got lucky.
It's working now.
So for working.
I said my prayer for it. Like
I know,
you said
dude.
Today.
I was seriously like, even since yesterday, I was like, oh, I just hope this works.
I said a prayer for it today when you said you said a
Thank you.
prayer.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think we're totally, covered. We got bigger powers than us at play here.
Absolutely.
So, walk me up now to, you've come here, you've hustled. How long did you guys have to do this kind of stuff before you realized from 2010, we're not sitting in 2019, 9 years is a long time. What took place in that time frame since you moved down here,
Well, we lived in North PB for a while.
which is where we're kind of down right
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We lived on
I
Relton
love
Drive,
it.
which is the little short street behind the West End.
And
Okay.
Perna
And
Cana's
Los-
Pizza.
And Los
Okay.
Dos
Los Dos.
Pedros
now. Cool.
and the Boulevard Automotive right there.
I mean, we were poor. Like we were eating like a burrito, not even a burrito. We were eating a tortilla
Shit.
from Los Dos Pedros for like,
Wow.
for a meal.
Well, I had this thing where I could cook dinner for under $10.
Really?
Absolutely.
For more than just the two of us.
I don't know why it makes that noise. But anyway, what is that? What did that entail?
I mean, you needed a protein, a grain, and
And a
some
vegetable?
vegetables. And
Yeah.
I would walk to Albertsons.
Yeah.
When
That was actually
That was a
Gelson's-
store.
Gelson's is now what was it, Albertsons?
Yeah.
I used to walk over there, and it used to be super cheap, and walk in there and make dinner for under $10. And then if we were having friends over, because we do like family nights and like have like Monday Night Football over, and I do it for under $20, and I'd feed like 7-8 people. And I learned that from my mom. My mom and dad really budgeted. My dad always says this.
Resourceful.
He says, "I don't know how your mom did it on one income, and we'd have money to go on vacation at the end of
Wow.
the years." During the summertime, because my dad, he's a teacher, obviously, so he
Right.
got summers off.
Wow. So you were making food, but let me ask you this: were you, God, what was I taking it? My question was somewhere around. You're having these meals, but were you? I lost it.
That's
I totally
okay.
lost it. I don't know what I was gonna say.
It's okay. What we did is, you were asking where we were going.
Yeah, in the
with
9
everything.
year. So you're
we were there.
barely
We were-
surviving.
We were in that.
Oh, and did you
apartment.
have friends down here when you moved down here?
So
That was
that's-
what I was.
So
saying.
that's the
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Come down here by
um,
yourself, knew nobody, or
Yeah,
bunch of my friends
there's
went
a
to
bunch
San
of
Diego
Bakersfield
State.
folks from
okay,
here.
so that's
so
good.
a bunch of my friends went to San Diego State, and if I didn't meet you, most of my friends are like this. They're either from Bakersfield,
Yes.
which I only have one friend that's left in Bakersfield, my buddy Dylan, and then my friend Joel. He lives up north. Those
Gotcha.
are the only two guys like from like high school friends.
Okay.
And then all my friends, even elementary school friends, they all live in San Diego. From El Cajon, my buddy Kevin. Patrick lives in Carlsbad.
Carlsbad.
Just
Matt
like
lives in
reunion down here
Carlsbad.
for you.
And
What's
then
that?
It's a reunion down here.
Oh yeah, totally. Like everybody, it's so funny because anytime that we bring in like a new friend, they're like, "Oh wait, they're from Bakersfield too."
Wow.
It's like, yeah, we got a crew.
So you had mutual friends potentially down here, like you guys.
Yeah,
You
a
know,
majority of the people that he knew, I knew,
because you went to the same high school.
went to the same
Yeah.
high school.
Right.
Absolutely.
Very cool. That's very
Yeah.
very. Fun.
or I knew like their younger sisters or their younger friends.
Right.
Absolutely. Because she was 4 years younger than me in school.
So where did that take you guys after being struggling for a little while? Did you end up landing on something bigger that was easier to make money from? Because I figured the flipping stuff maybe got a little bit.
Ashley
You know.
worked.
Yeah, I started
for-
working at Bar Body.
Okay.
So my friend Courtney Sindrich, she decided to open Bar Body on Garnett.
Okay.
And so she had this grand idea. Her sister Caroline, I worked with Caroline Smith
Okay.
through NCA, National Cheerleaders Association, the cheer company that I work for. And they were like, "You'd be perfect. Like, come and train and certify with us and come up with the curriculum. And I'm going to open this bar studio. You got to be an instructor." So we literally like created this curriculum from the ground up, and she opened up Bar Body, and I worked there on a daily. Just
My butt and thighs had never been so sore in my life.
She made
he
you
was
do
my
all
guinea
of them?
pig. Yeah, he was my guinea pig.
Oh man, you should have seen
Yeah.
it.
Oof.
I had quite a rear at the time.
Dang.
Yeah, working on the
And
glutes.
and I was still maxing out my summers with summer camp. I mean, like June, July, and August, just
Yeah.
nonstop.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So fast forward from now you're in the NCA. What are you up to?
I was actually kind of thinking about getting in the motorcycle selling business, but I was still like dabbling in like doing like the swap meets and
You're already
just
selling parts.
selling junk, you know, like just other, and I wouldn't say junk, just other people's stuff.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
useful to somebody.
It's a treasure.
I
Right.
did
Treasure
I
for
did get
others.
into construction, concrete carpentry for about a year. That was the toughest man job I've ever had in my life. That was like,
Physically, because it's just so
you
draining.
put on
Yeah,
your
he was
bags and you're already
exhausted.
sweating. Like you just sweat all day. It's awesome. And like I had a buddy that does it. My buddy Justin Switch got me into it. He
Probably
was
couldn't eat enough food to
dude,
keep the
couldn't
weight
like,
on you.
we get like 3 burritos in the morning and then go to work. Like eat one before, eat one at lunch, and then you get off work and you're starving.
Still
We
so
surf,
hungry.
you know. So that's when she actually moved to Merced to
Yeah.
take care of her grandmother that
Yeah.
was
Okay.
that
Yeah,
was
she wasn't doing so well, so she didn't have much time
So
left.
how long were you out for?
Was it like 5 months?
5-6 months,
6
and I moved to
months?
Oceanside.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And so that's what moved us out of the Relton apartment. And then he blindly was like, "We need you need to come back."
I'm curious. What was the rent like in those days living out here?
Wasn't
Do you
it?
remember?
Wasn't it 1025
I believe it was $950 or it was $10.25
For a
but
one bedroom
for a
or
one
a studio
bedroom?
type of a
It was
place?
a one bedroom.
it was cool. It had
And-
vaulted ceilings, and we always end up in an apartment complex. We live downstairs, and then when one opens up upstairs, we move
We
upstairs.
moved upstairs.
And it had vaulted ceilings, so you can imagine if it's vaulted.
Yeah.
I found a way to put every surfboard and bicycle in the
Which were numerous.
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Ton. So
Which I didn't even tell you. I bought a new bike today.
Hey, surprise.
like motorcycle.
No, I didn't buy a motorcycle. I bought
A
a bicycle.
bicycle.
I bought a
Okay,
bicycle.
okay.
the pedaling one, not
okay.
the vroom vroom one.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's been talking about
I'm
well,
working
doing this
on
whole
getting a new
building.
motorcycle.
Really? Okay.
Right now, because my FXR Harley Davidson, it's a little.
What are you
little
trying to
sm-
get? I want to look it up.
I'm gonna just. I want to get a lowrider S. I want to get a salvage title one, and that's what I'll ride because all of my Dynas have always been set up like.
Oh, they're so
these
nice.
are bicycles. I should ride.
Lowrider S is the one with
This
gold
one?
wheels. Gold wheels.
Here,
Nope.
here.
Nope. Down to the right. Down. Yep. All the way. Right there.
right there.
Oh, this baby.
Those are pretty sweet.
It's pretty.
So I'm a Dyna guy. I have an FXR right now, but Ashley feels like we're
my
like
gosh.
bears on a bike in a circus. So
Well, that and like if you lick your lips at the wrong time, I'm gonna bite my tongue
Yeah,
off.
it's
because
gonna like be.
well, all my Dynas that I've had are just set up perfect for us. Like nice back seat, nice fairing. You sit up, it sits up really high.
Smooth ride.
We've done a lot of rides, like longer rides together, like hundreds of miles.
Wow.
You know, every time she gets on the back of my bike, it rains though. Even in the summer, it's so
Did
weird.
you get on his bike today? Is that why it's raining?
No, I wasn't even in
telling
town
you.
today.
Every time it rains, I'm gonna have to ask you: are you guys out riding bikes?
I'm telling you, it was so funny. Like
Our
for the
first
longest time.
long ride, it hailed on us.
Oh, ouch.
And oh yeah, it
and
was like
flooded,
pelting.
like 29 Palms area.
Mimi and I were in Colorado, and we went to this park. And we were at this park. I forgot the name of it. It was one of those natural parks, but it has waterfalls and such. So we walk in, we're like hiking around, and we get in there, and all of a sudden it starts to rain. We don't have umbrellas, and we're getting soaked. So we kind of gave up and surrendered, and like, all right, we're just gonna get wet. And then it started to hail, and I'm like, God's really testing me right now. And we had nothing to cover ourselves with, and there's nowhere to really get shelter, and it was just really terrible.
Hell hurts.
It hurts really
hurts,
bad.
especially then when you're on a motorcycle. Like
Yeah, and you're going
It feels like you're getting shot with BBs.
Yeah.
when it would hit your knee, you're like, oh.
ouch, ouch.
And I was the only smart one that wore boots, so my feet weren't soaked. But this dude and our buddy wore Vans.
Ouch.
No, we were in Vans. It was smart idea. And then on the way home from this long ride,
Yes.
we were actually riding sideways because the wind was so
the
strong.
wind was crazy.
What do you mean riding sideways?
Like the
Like
motorcycle
it
was
was
actually I had
tilted.
it tilted,
Blowing us, yeah.
tilted in the wind because if I had it straight up, we would have just been blown up, blown over. So we were like
crazy.
riding into the wind, and every time you passed a big rig, it gives this big wind gust. And so on our way home, we were in the Laughlin River Run.
You need a GoPro in these moments.
Oh, it was serious. It was like, so all these people are like, weekend riders going like 55 miles an hour on the freeway. Like, what freeway is that? that goes to the river?
Oh, you're
Is that the
testing
10?
No.
The 40.
Yes, the 40.
The 40 that goes in like Bullhead City,
Okay.
Laughlin. And we were going like 95, 100, just like, just flying down the freeway. People
This
are
guy
just
doesn't
like,
go slow.
they were slapped. Yeah, I got a lot of speeding tickets.
Oh man.
Man, I got a lot of speeding tickets. One day I walked into the DMV and the lady goes, "Sir, you have 12 points on your record."
Man, what's your insurance?
And I said,
like $50,000
yeah.
a year.
and I looked at her, and she's like an older lady, and the younger girl's like, so she got up to do something, and the younger girl goes, "Don't worry about her. That was really rude of her to say, but how did you get 12 points on your record?"
Yeah, how
I
did
bought
you
a
get-
motorcycle.
I was like, well, I do get pulled over from time to time.
How many is that? Like, what time span are we talking here?
Dude, there was like a time where it was like on not a weekly.
I would get them in threes. That's what happened. Like I'd get one, and then I get one a month later, and then I get one a week later. Like just
man.
recently, last year. Was it last year? Last year I got no turn right on red into the Charger Stadium. I was going there. They have a swap meet on Wednesday nights. I don't know if
Okay.
you've been. It's awesome. It's
No,
really
I'll
fun.
have to go hang out to one of these places with you because I don't have the street cred to hang out in these places. I'll probably
love
get
it,
hustled,
Ella.
so I will go with you.
You love it.
You know,
Just gotta barter.
Then
It's fun.
a week later, I got a ticket on the 5 at like 7:30 in the morning. Same street I always get pulled over. I can't remember that street. It's right out of Carlsbad. Can't remember, but this highway patrol got behind me and he's like, "Oh yeah, I clocked you." And he pulled me over. Eventually pulled me over, and he's like, "Oh, I clocked you at 89 or something like that." And I was like, And it's funny because I remember looking down at one time I was going like 110, 115.
ooh, wow.
So crazy.
So, but this bike that I had
slow
was
your
built for that.
butt
Is this
down.
guy that got you? Was he a bike cop or was he a car cop?
He's a car cop, and he had me on the side of the road talking to me for like an hour. So I was thinking, oh man, this guy's gonna let me out. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
When
No.
those hopeful moments come up.
I've never been let out
Slam.
of. Have you ever gotten out of a ticket?
No.
Neither have I. Have you ever
No,
gotten out of a
not-
ticket?
Once in Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
It's because of the hair.
No, you guys, I have a lot of speeding tickets myself.
Yeah,
And
I think it's because I think girls have the way, man.
no.
We can't win.
No.
They pucker their lips. They pull down their shirt.
Whatever.
Well, maybe.
So whatever it takes, whatever it takes. $400. I didn't know that was the rule.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I did get out of another one just last year.
Why don't you
Oh.
rub it in?
Yeah. But yeah,
But in Rylan actually got me out of it.
my daughter.
His daughter.
Oh, how?
We were driving from we go to Pismo for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And
Pismo Beach area.
Pismo,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, that's a beautiful
Central
area.
Coast. Yeah, we love it. We
You
go
ever
to
want to go? We have a trailer stored over there. You can borrow it. You can
Yeah,
use
we
it.
can totally use it.
Okay.
It's awesome.
We have a pull behind trailer. We
I have it all recorded. It's great.
my-
Can't get out of this one.
Well, my
Nope.
family
Commitment.
I got you. I got you.
So my side of the family has been going to Pismo for over 40 years for Thanksgiving. And
Yeah.
so anyway, so I dropped my mom off and then I went to go pick up his youngest and his
How
middle
many kids
child.
do you have?
I have three.
3 kids.
Yes.
What ages?
14, 13, and 10. So
Wow.
it's Gavin, Rylan, and Silas.
3 boys.
Gavin is a boy. Rylan's a girl.
That's a
and
cute
then
name.
Silas is the little cutie pie.
And they're like identical to him.
Really?
I mean, there's no getting
They're all
over-
6 foot tall. They all have sleeve tattoo. on the
absolutely,
arm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Only on the left arm.
And,
Only left arm.
Dude,
yes.
you used to have like the most crazy beard at one point. I should have pulled it up, a picture of it.
He's had that a couple
it's
times
insane.
in our time together.
Talk about growing a beard. This guy,
Yeah.
It
It would be so funny because people are like, man, how long have you been growing that thing? He's like,
like a week.
4 months.
I'm gonna see if I can actually pull it up. But
Ashley's Instagram, you could probably pull it up.
You might be able to do
oh, I'm not even logged in, am I?
Do you remember your
This-
password?
Yeah, it's gonna. This is
Yeah,
just
but
me
it
not
might-
being prepared.
Yeah, but it might show it.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where the hell does Water Store come into the picture? And
Oh.
so you haven't even told me if you were selling motorcycles yet, but you were at one point.
So yeah,
Yeah.
for the last about like let's see, the gap in between the
Well, the swap meets and everything
construction.
like never really stopped. I mean, that was
Those are
that's-
always your
that's
s-
still a
always
thing.
money
I
making
just moved to
tools.
yeah, I just moved to more expensive items. Like you know how like I always had this thing with me like, oh man, like I'm selling bicycles and other people's stuff, which makes makes money, right?
Sure, of course.
But I always wanted to get to the point where I was like buying and selling cars or buying and selling trailers. Like I thought I just like always had like a dream to like, you know, redo like Airstreams or old trailers and just stuff like that. And I got into the motorcycles. There's a gentleman up in Oceanside, a gentleman named English Tony, and everybody that was in the business I was in, he was financing motorcycles through.
Okay.
Like everybody, he just, oh, you want a motorcycle? Cool. Yeah. Give me a couple $1,000s down and just pay me payments. So I held out for a long time and
Learned a lot.
yeah, learned a
too.
lot. And I ended up, because my commute was to San Marcos every day for like that time, like that's where I had a shop where like I stored all my stuff, and I was able to get a motorcycle, and then I just rode it every day to learn how to do it. I mean, I remember the first time I rode on the freeway, I was like freaked out. Like, oh my gosh, every line and crack, it grabs your front tire and you feel like you're going to blow off your bike. And then, you know what I did? Went up to Oceanside, then I took the PCH home because I didn't want to be on the freeway.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like, and now she pinches me really hard when like I'm like doing something like what?
Like going 95. Or when it's my least favorite when we're on the freeway and he'll split lanes, but there's no traffic. He's just splitting lanes just to split lanes.
Going over those little bumps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think what most people don't realize is that going fast on a bike, like 90 miles an hour, is incredibly aggressive, much more aggressive than in a car because you don't feel it in the
Yeah.
car.
I use it
You
as
know?
an ab workout though,
Just
because like
squeeze
when the wind goes, I try to keep my core tight and my shoulders rolled back.
Squeezes me with her legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that when we rode?
Yes, I'm
Adductors.
always just trying to find a way to work out.
Very, very
Like,
good.
She used to
On
have
Anthony.
so she used to have, when we used to when we first started dating, we moved down here, she would do all of her cheer camps, and so she'd have to drive all over California.
Okay.
Like Northern California, Southern California. This girl carried a shake weight.
I have one of those. Those things are
Dude.
aggressive.
I'm telling you,
I bought one
had
as a
some
joke, and it's
pretty good
actually
biceps.
legitimately
She
difficult.
was yoked.
Yeah.
I was
Still
yoked.
is.
Well, yeah. I saw you're in really good shape. Well, also,
Well, thank you. I
so
appreciate that,
so what is this whole cheerleading stuff? Tell me. I don't know much about it. Of course, I used to be in drumline when I was in
Oh,
high
really?
school.
That's so
I used to
cool.
actually we would play, and then the cheerleaders or the song team, I think it was more specifically, would like dance and stuff. So it
Yeah.
was always like kind of a good thing, but I don't really know about what they did. I know they do contests,
Yeah.
their own competitions, the dance ones.
So I work for National Cheerleaders Association, and it's under the umbrella company of Varsity Spirit.
Okay.
And so to expand on that a little bit more, so there's Varsity Brands, and Varsity Brands owns BSN Sports, which if there's a high school or a college or just a school across the nation, there's something that Varsity Brands has something to do with.
Gotcha.
But BSN is all the sports and athletic wear or gear. And then we have Herf Jones, which is the scholastic side, the yearbooks, the caps and gowns, the class rings. And then you have Varsity Spirit, which is the training and education camp and apparel side. And so I've been working for NCA for 18 years, but this is my 6th year going on as the NCA West Coast State Director. And it's more on like the training and education and sales side.
Training, education, and sales.
And sales, yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it is a lot of stuff.
Quite amazing.
It's really cool though. I mean,
I traveled with her a couple summers to all these different camps and like stayed with her. And
So what entails a camp, like as an example?
it's just it's also a really rewarding job, but, we learned curriculum in the beginning of the year. And then there were times where we would meet staff for the second time because we'd all train together.
Right.
And when we would meet at a location and train for 3 days on the curriculum that we learned through at the time of VHS. And then now it's just through a YouTube link that we just send staff and they just, learn stunts and dances and stuff. But then you would get to camp, whether it was at a residential camp, which is like
Couple
at a
of months
university.
camp, or are we talking weeks?
It's like, it ranges from 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah. And we stay in a dorm room and we literally are living the campus life and cheering from 8:15 in the morning till about 9:30 at night.
So what are the things that we're teaching, like, cheerleaders and things like that? What are we,
Well, our number one thing is safety. I mean, I feel like I'm giving like a PSA right now, but safety really is like our number
Start
one.
twirling and throwing
Yeah,
kids
I mean,
up and down.
So the hard thing is like, if a kid can't do a handstand, they have no business putting somebody up in the air over their head. You know what I mean? So we need to teach and train these kids how to catch somebody that's coming out of the air, how to properly build, how to So, we teach them safety and education. And then we teach them technique, how to, motions and how to hold your body weight. And then we teach them game day and performance and how to, and that's just like the technical side, but, we also dive in deeper with team time and how to build better leaders and how to be a leader in your community and how to be an ambassador for your school and how to raise money and support not only, the football team, but also like the soccer team and lacrosse team and the mechanical team, like to just spreading school spirit throughout, because there's, we've taken a survey through several ADs and principals across the nation, and there is a higher graduation rate when the school has school pride and school spirit. Mm-hmm. So
Gotcha.
there's a better turnout for graduation.
I'm curious, since you work with a lot of young kids, what have you noticed in terms of in the last few years? How is mental health of kids? What are you seeing? Kind of being you're in the higher level of perspective where you can see everything oversight wise.
And I work with a lot
things
of
roll up to you.
Yeah, and I work with a lot of coaches that are with it on a daily basis, and work with a lot of athletic directors and activity directors. And I think I hate to say it because social media is such a great platform, but kids are really mean, and I guess you would call them like keyboard trolls,
Sure.
where people just feel like they can say whatever they want.
There's no consequence, right?
Like a
No,
cyber
there's
bully.
really not.
Yeah.
And, but they compare themselves a lot. And a lot of it has to do with just people being unkind.
Yeah.
So that's a really big thing. Actually, Kevin Atlas came. I was at a coaches conference. I was speaking at a coaches conference this weekend in Costa Mesa for our varsity university. It's our training and education program for coaches. And he came in today and talked a lot about this as well, which is he's partnered with us to travel around to all these schools to really be a shining light and to, put focus on a new direction on how we can change mental health, how we can change the ability to believe in ourselves, to believe in other people, and just be kind. And, instead of giving out negativity, to bring positivity to the world and to bring positivity to your school and giving out 3 compliments in a day.
So that's a practical way of doing it.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Who's
Yeah.
Kevin Atlas?
Kevin Atlas. Yeah. He's great.
Who is that?
Yeah.
He was, I'm going to try to say this right. He was the first basketball player to play in a D1 school with a disability. Yeah. Because he has like a nub. He lost like a quarter of his arm when he was born.
Wow.
And so, yeah, he's
impressive.
super inspirational. And he was our guest speaker this weekend. And so it was really cool to listen to him. And we had athletes there this weekend as well. So the message is reaching them and our coaches.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And he does a YouTube series for Varsity Spirit as well.
Yeah, I think social media is kind of like the cat's out of the bag. There's a lot of people that don't fully understand the power of it, and also the programming behind it and how it actually exploits your biological impulses. You look at a post, you're automatically like seeing people's highlights that trigger you a certain way. You compare yourself to their life, and now you realize, well, fuck, I'm not really doing much with myself.
Right.
And then it becomes like this game we're playing, but especially at a younger age, as you mentioned, bullying, it's true for adults. People are just as rude as anybody else,
Absolutely.
But yeah.
So it's just kids that haven't resolved that, and now they're becoming adults and they're participating in this, and like not enough people are able to have
I also
conversations.
feel like bullying has been around for so long, but it's just like we've become so tender and that we're so comparative to other people because it's like everything is at their fingertips. Like they don't have to use their imagination. Like everything is at their fingertips. If
But they still don't use it.
But you don't see people posting like a bad day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, maybe they do. I just don't pay attention to that.
people
I mean,
do.
I just, if I'm looking at social media, like, what do you use social media for?
Honestly, I've changed my whole strategy on it. Like my game has been for the last few years, I've been trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I'm trying to do with myself here? So the strategy that I took was I'm going to put out content that either makes you think about stuff, maybe look inside more and realize like the things that are happening inside of you. Self-awareness has been a big undertone there, and just stuff that I think, is really what I'm doing. And I'm not trying to hide it. I'm not trying to like sugarcoat it either. Like this is what I've built for myself. And if you want to know how, I'll tell you what I've done. And if you want to know what my thoughts are, I'll share them with you. Keeping it very open. I'd like to understand what everybody's kind of putting out, but I really believe that it's like this platform can be utilized for change. You could put that out if you wanted to. Like we were talking about this at the store. This podcast is a part of it. Like if we can have a discussion that's real, which we are trying to do here, it can be, somebody sees this like, hey, I used to, I grew up in a small town. Potentially they might see that there's a way, like you said, if it's possible, then you could do it. But sometimes it's hard for you when you're sitting there and you're alone and you're just looking at your phone and all you see is other people's lives and you don't really understand how you connect the dots for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure that that's a conversation we can have, that is a problem. We are all going through it. We don't know what we're supposed to do. We're all trying to figure it out. So we need to openly talk about it rather than pretend that we know what we're doing when we really don't, and put that out in the world and falsify that and glorify that.
So
Pretend that everything's great.
Okay,
every
but it's
day,
not.
And I'm only posting like, I'm on a boat. I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
Like what about the real life stuff that we all go through on a daily basis?
Something
I think we need to share that with each other.
Something I've been trying to like concentrate on myself is like even just putting my ego aside. Like, because I think a lot of the times we're afraid to admit our disability, whatever that may be. And just putting my ego aside and saying, you know what, I'm trying to be better.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be more kind, and I'm trying to be, a little bit relaxed and know that we're all on this journey together and we're all just trying to figure it out.
That's right.
And we're just, the best that we can do is live day to day. And
yeah, I mean, that's what I say. The only facts are we're here. We got here without our consent. We know that we're going to die. There's a time in the middle, and we have to fill that time with something.
Yeah.
And there's better ideas. Some people have better ideas than others. So you have to find ideas that, are good for you, but also good for the people around you. And those are kind of like this minimalistic framework that we can all start operating from.
Yeah.
And, recognizing that responsibility that it lies within each individual themselves. I would say that that's partly like why I'm doing what I'm doing here. And I know, we're going to get to the store part here, but that is part of what you're, trying to put out into the world as well, is something good.
Yeah.
And something that you can align your inside and your outside purpose together, So one thing I'd be curious about is like, how much of these kids that are coming to these cheer camps are being taught to just sit still? Because like we're constantly moving around and doing this. How much is like just sit still and we're not going to do anything for the next 15 minutes and we're just going to sit in silence. And we're going to observe what's happening inside, how chaotic them thoughts are.
That would be really tough.
Because everybody does this.
Well, number one, we don't have that much time. So there's a lot that we need to get to. So no, but we try to, explain to them that, your time alone and in quiet is just as important as, team time with your team. But
I don't know. It would be a suggestion. I would think that like if we could teach kids, especially at a young age, how to meditate for even 10 minutes a day, and at least just get in the practice of recognizing that there's a dialogue inside of their head, because everybody should know that the voice in your head is not always true.
Powerful.
Okay, but the voice, unless you know that voice is not always true, you're always listening to it impulsively, and you're always behaving from that. And as a kid, I wish I knew that more of, because I always felt naturally that there was always like you knew what to do in every situation, but then you could choose not to do that because there would be another voice there that you would maybe listen to. But as a child, if you understood this better, I think the whole game can change then and there.
I was having a conversation with somebody today, and we were talking about how, if you just try to see where other people are coming from and try to just put yourself in their shoes and realize that, especially in high school, like everybody puts on this mask and walks in. It's like they're trying to be somebody else because they feel like what they have at home or their parents are fighting or going through some times or, whatever the difficulty is, like they put on like everything's okay, like we all do on social media. Everything's great. Look at my great photo on the boat. And so, we're just trying to break down those barriers and say like, if we're more kind to one another and more open to one another, then we'll be more understanding.
Yes. I think the large part of what you're saying is like seeing things from more than one perspective, because
Absolutely.
objectively it's hard to see things. You're always seeing it from a subjective, your own story, your own narrative, all the stuff you've envisioned and done in your life, from your history. That's what's being utilized to parse your environment. And until you see that, okay, maybe my initial reaction is not always the right one, how else can I be in this situation that I'm in? And having that ability to, or even maybe like that understanding that that's a possibility. I think it's a key part, like, knowing that, like you said, if it's possible, then you can do it. Like if you know that you can react a certain way, if you took the time to understand that that's a thing that you can do, you're more likely to do it. But we are not even really taught that.
Yeah.
If you had really, really good parents, potentially you are, but for the large amount,
I feel like that's just something I learned not long ago.
Yeah.
That, the power of your mind. Like, I'll just like for him and I, like I'll even use it with our relationship. Like if he does something to irritate me, instead of it getting the best of me, I then say to myself 3 things that I love about him, or I find
that you're grateful for.
Yeah, that I'm grateful for. And it literally.
Do you say those out loud?
No, I don't. I don't share those with you.
You should.
You should say them
I
out loud.
absolutely
You should let them know.
You should say them
That's
out
the
loud.
Honestly,
ego part that I'm
You should-
working on.
You should show me physically.
As
Actually,
cliche,
tell me about those
as
things.
cliche as it sounds, gratitude changes your attitude. That's 220% true.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I used to do that. So there was a time when I was telling Anthony about this at the store. Like I kind of living up in the Bay Area, I got like, I'll give you the quick synopsis. So I studied as an engineer, went to college for that, but I'm not by any means
Smart.
like a smart kid like that. We've always been like a creative person, played music, drums throughout
Really?
school. Yeah. I've always been into
Cool.
music. Very.
What'd you like to play?
Oh, I played in drumline, so I played like very like military precision, like learned the proper way of like rudimentary drumming, but then that applies to like everything you do. And that became like my thing that I really wanted to get good at. And I just pushed a lot of effort into that. School was always like difficult for me, but I did it because I knew I had to do that. And my parents were immigrants, so I had some part of responsibility there, older brother who's disabled and stuff like that. So my parents came here for that, to give us an opportunity at a better life. So I felt that, okay, I need to make something of myself. I can't completely screw around. So, but it was always trying to figure out, well, what can I do? What do I want to do? Got into engineering only because it made sense at the time, and look at where the world's headed. It is true. Computers are kind of like taking over. Software is taking over the world. So
Totally.
I went in that direction, went up to Silicon Valley, started working in tech, still do work in tech, but after like being a programmer for a little while.
obviously.
I know. I was like, this makes sense.
Well, actually, it does and it doesn't, because so you were saying like, oh, you don't give yourself enough credit, because I do
Yeah.
feel like an imposter in a lot of ways, because I don't belong with that clique as much as I could have. I was never like the smartest kid, never got the best grades even through college and all that. So
Yeah,
I
but you're
barely
determined.
survived. Well, that was kind of the thing. I almost felt like I had to, because I felt that sense of responsibility on myself. I had to, I was brainwashed with that, that was what I was told that I should be doing. My older brother, him being disabled, my parents always put in front of me that my parents never really lied about it. They told me what it was. Like, your brother's probably not going to do this and this in his life, and this is what you have the ability to do. So it's almost like, yeah, that makes sense.
Didn't want to disappoint either.
Yeah, that, and also you just felt like, wow, like this is what I have to deal with. Like, this
Yeah.
is my family, and this is the cards we're held. Like, we're dealt, so we got to figure this out together.
Yeah.
And after immigrating from a different country, the game changes completely, right? Like, my parents gave up everything that they had,
Yeah.
moved here. My dad always was a business guy and never really tried to start one here because that was a little bit more complicated. So like for me, I'm trying to think, well, what do I want to do with my time? And like realized getting good at talking would be a good skill set, and mental health was like a thing that I suffered through myself. 2017 was like kind of the heart of it. Like I got really depressed for a long time. Yeah, for like 6 months. I just felt like I never realized the power of what being depressed was. I never understood it because I wasn't ever there. And I always kind of thought it was silly when people would talk about being depressed, because before that I was while I was in college, I became a competitive athlete. I started to be a bodybuilder at the same time. And
Is that you? But I'm sorry, I didn't.
that one, yeah, that's in
Okay.
Big Sur. I had a pretty big back.
You should see the
Yeah, I was like,
you should see
dang, you're
pictures.
massive.
I was creeping through his Instagram.
Oh yeah,
He had
I
some
did it for a
serious
little
ones.
while. Like I took it half seriously and put some efforts into it.
Half
And,
seriously, you're as big as a fridge.
Yeah, right.
Did you walk indoors sideways?
Yes,
Like,
that's
oh,
right.
can't
I
walk
always
into
wanted that. It was the best thing for the ego because being a small kid, barely 5'5.5", it was like, yeah, I got bullied a lot through school, but I always got through the bullying because I had like good parenting. I had really loving mom and dad, and my dad was always kind of strict in his ways, but I always knew that there was plenty of love that I have in my life, that this stuff isn't really going to bother me. So it was always good that way. And God, just like, where we are today was because I had to find a way out of that dark place, and I just don't want anybody else to suffer there. So I've made it like sort of my personal mission to get really, good at understanding psychology and behavioral psychology and even the spiritual stuff. Like I did intensive amounts of meditation to try to get myself out of the depressive state. I would sit
awesome.
every morning. I'd wake up, and I'm not even going to lie, even today, like, there's days when I wake up where I just wake up with a ton of fear and sweat and,
Anxiety.
like crazy amounts and no idea why and where it's coming from. So I have to like prime myself and get myself back to that state. But now it's down to a routine. Like you can't really mess with me for more than a couple of hours in the day.
Yeah.
Like I know how to get myself back to that sort of equilibrium place as much as I can. So it's just realizing that there's these powerful tools out there that I just want to share with people, and I want to get as many people as I can into like realizing what's actually happening rather than that dialogue that's always playing and bothering you.
Yeah.
Because that's when it's a problem, when
Well,
the dialogue is bothering you.
Yeah, so we talked about like high school kids,
Yeah.
it's like it goes into the same for adults. So it's something that I've been trying to consciously be aware of is like, instead of like waking up immediately and grabbing our phone or turning on the TV, because it's like you're taking everything else that the world has going on and you're dumping it on your brain and on your mind.
First
the
thing.
very first thing when you wake up, like it's just so unhealthy. So we, don't grab our phones first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Right now it's first thing in the morning. Wake up early so we watch two episodes of Game of Thrones. So that's right. And that's like really hard. Like that's anxiety through the roof if you watch that.
One of the things I do is I get up in the morning. I mean, I'll get up in the morning, use the restroom, and go surfing.
That's good.
And there's not a lot of talking going on in the
Very
water.
present, just doing what's in front of you.
Absolutely. So like that's a type of like people talk about sitting in silence and doing meditation or listening to music. I have two types of meditation.
Yeah.
I'd say surfing is one of them.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what happens during the day after you surf. It's
Day
you
successful.
get in the water,
Yeah.
you're like whatever. And riding my motorcycle, because I have a friend that's really into meditating, like hours and hours of meditating, and he's like, "Do you meditate, Anthony?" I was like sit still? I don't sit still.
Yeah.
Like, he goes, "Well, you ride your motorcycle." I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "That's a form of meditation," and it never clicked in my head.
Yeah.
It never clicked in my head that was
Yeah.
meditation. For you said you sit in silence, or what do you
Well, for
do
me,
exactly?
it was so. Look, I did a few things. Like there was a time where I did like the sit in silence type of thing, but I would do breathing exercises for like 21 minutes, so like about twice a day, so about an hour a day. I would sit and try to do like these breathing exercises and really just like go inwards and feel everything, all the pain, everything that's coming, but not really like let it surface beyond that. And after that, I started to realize like, okay, all that's really going on. I started to figure out the framework of what's going on inside. Okay. And then the framework really was, okay, there's this voice and I have to negotiate with it because it says stuff that's sometimes completely out of left field, but it also has like good ideas too. I just have to figure out how can I balance everything out here and, move myself in the direction that I do want to go, because that was always a thing. It's like I always wanted to be better.
So
right?
good that you can do that.
Well, it took a lot of like sitting in silence to figure that out, because it's like you have to notice these patterns inside of you. Like you said, you're really quick at picking things up because you probably are really good at observing patterns and then replicating them. But it took me it took me a long time to learn new stuff, right? Like programming, when I started a programmer, God, it was like the hardest thing possible for me. You know, that's why I was never really fond of it and wanted to do that
I
long
believe
term.
that would be hard for me too.
Yeah, because
Like really hard for me.
sitting still for
Like
in
putting
front of a
pass-
computer for like 10 to 12 hours
Yeah.
trying to fix and debug something. I mean, that's not easy.
I mean, trying to remember passwords is like the hardest thing in my life. Like,
Yeah,
I can't
fair
imagine
enough.
being in the tech
Fair
industry.
enough.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's true. But I started to figure out, okay, what is the framework here, and wanted to like see how can I be, you know, more present with the things I do. So then I started to like be meditative with activities that I do, even if it's like me trying to write an email. Like, just take a second and figure out who am I talking to and what am I trying to convey across? What's the intention here? I'm not trying to hurt this person, even if it's a rude email.
Yeah.
You know, and just be
Right.
more present with the activity rather than letting the impulsive knee-jerk reaction that
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, how dare you say this to me, reply, you blah, 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 and then
Right.
send. Like, you know, just trying to be more thoughtful through and maybe just not reacting right away and
Yeah.
just noticing like when things arise inside. Like I use that as my meditation, honestly. Like
That's
just
good.
everything that I do, I try to be as present as I can. But then I see myself like slip. And then a large part of that is not giving myself such a hard time when that slip does happen, because that's
You're
not
beating yourself up
this
over
this game is really difficult. Like,
I try to use, like, not use, but I try to like reach out to people around me that are good at their craft. You know,
Yeah.
If you know I need help with something, like an email. I have a buddy Jesse that his emails are
it. Just
on
good with words.
Yeah.
point. I mean, he
precise.
is very. He sells hunter engineering equipment, and he's like amazing. I call him. You know, if I have, you know, financial things I want to talk to, I
Yeah.
talk to another one of my buddies, Patrick. You know, there's just certain people that you reach out to, like my buddy Randy with motorcycles. Like, I have a problem with a motorcycle, call Randy. You know, it's. I try to use
Bring this up a little bit.
I try to talk to everybody around me.
Much
you know,
nicer.
I try to really just.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Was I distant
You're a little
there?
faint.
You were a little faint. But it's all
But
good.
you're great now.
We
Like it.
fixed it.
Perfect.
Like MSR.
Yeah.
ASMR.
Do I sound like a mean to pickle?
I want to get good at doing sound effects so I can just bust them out, like, you know. Yeah.
I actually made a funny video with because the lady that eats pickles, and I was like, so I made this funny one and I sent it to Ashley and one of her girlfriends, and they were dying.
He
laughing,
did
like,
his own. He like tapped on the jar. He's like, "There's pickles."
making all these funny noises. It is really funny.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like to your point, like instead of getting anxiety about something or getting frustrated about something, I call that person. I talk to them. Like a buddy of mine, Mike, he's owned a plastic fabrication business for a long time. I called him the other day. I was like, how do you pay yourself out of your business?
Yeah.
Like, how do I pay bills, like my personal bills, out of my business? And, you know, we went through a whole scenario of like,
First business. We don't know
well,
what we're doing.
what do you, W-2 yourself? What do you, 1099 yourself? Or do you just pay your bills? And because prior to this, I've been all cash.
Right, because you guys were just hustling
It's
and
all cash.
paying bills.
For 9 years,
yeah.
been cash.
Before you go down that, because I think we can switch topics to that, but I want to just conclude and find out, were you guys ever like the saving type, or were you always like kind of when it comes,
I'm the saving
we
type.
got to like throw it in and get what we need? So you guys are always kind of in there.
I'm the saving type. He is the impulsive purchase type.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of what led us into the business, because I'm like I'm like my father. I need to plan and plan again.
Okay.
And I'm the kind of person where he's like with the
Plan.
water store.
Enough planning.
I
Let's
don't even
do-
know what that
then-
means.
Yeah,
You're
he's like a
ready,
fly by the
fire,
seam.
aim.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a fly by the seam of his pants.
I saved motorcycles in the garage.
Yeah.
And surfboards and, you know, anything else I can get my hands on to buy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like my savings thing.
So you're more, you're like my friend Bronson. He's like, he spends plenty of money to get things that he wants to play with and use, but he's like, he buys like machines, like for machining and stuff. Like those tools have
Really?
value. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
yeah, like
Cool.
full on like lathing machines and, you know, all
Smart.
that stuff. So he's
Yeah.
like doing full fabrication and stuff. And I'm like, dude, that's so much money. He's like, yeah, but these are what like
He
I,
uses them
Yeah, it
himself.
pays
yeah, like this, what he has, they have a shop. Silva Cycles up in the Bay Area. If you're ever there in Campbell,
What is it?
it's a bike shop. It's a custom fabrication bicycle shop.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah.
What is the
they
name of
make
it?
Silva Cycles.
Okay.
Yeah. So my bike that's back there is actually from them. So they do like pretty much anything that you can think of. They'll make you the most like ridiculous looking thing you want, and very classy, very like elegant, hard work done by hand. You know, and
Have you seen
making it happen.
Abenau's bike?
Oh, my foldable bike. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
pretty
Got a cool
dope.
foldable
It's
bike?
bitchin'.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Oh my gosh.
It's called a Brompton. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Brompton. I just want to ride it because it's called a Brompton.
It's a pretty sick thing.
Can I
Yeah,
say
these-
Brompton again? Do you want to say Brompton?
Yeah, I wonder how these British people say it, you know? I should look it up. They race those in London, no joke.
Really?
Yeah,
Do
people
they
like-
have like a triathlon where they have to like
They,
carry
like,
them on the
geek
back
out,
and run
man.
with them, and
Yeah,
then
that'd be
like throw it down, fold it out, and then run with them again, swim with it on their back?
Swim with it
The
on their
box
back.
for them, it's like, oh, it fits under your desk. It fits in your house. It fits on a train. You're like, so you can never be
Cool.
late to meetings. What am I going to bike from one meeting room to the other in the
I guess
office?
you
Like,
could.
but you could.
I mean, like people complain about parking, and I'm like, who
I'm
cares?
one of those people.
Yeah.
Who cares about traffic and parking? We live in San Diego.
Yeah,
you
but
know
you
what?
walk
Like,
to work, in all fairness.
I
Yeah.
used to. Well, reason for the motorcycle was because I was working in San Marcos, and that was the original reason why I bought one. But traffic. How could you let that bother you? Like,
Oh, I don't let traffic bother me.
or
it's
parking.
the parking.
Who
that
cares
drives
if
me
you got to walk
crazy.
4 blocks? Guess what? You get to walk 4 blocks in San Diego.
It's not about the
Fair enough.
walking. It's just like when somebody parks in a spot that could be 2 parking spots and somebody parks in the middle.
Okay.
That's what irritates me.
Sure.
But I'm trying to just let it roll off. my
Just let it
shoulders.
roll.
And so
So you guys were doing all these side hustles, plus you had your cheerleading thing going, and at this point you're doing some bikes, flipping bikes, and side like doing swap meets and things like that. Where does the idea for the water store come in, and what's the mindset there, and like what's the thinking behind all of this? And tell me all of that.
There's a little to it. I mean, I was traveling across the country buying motorcycles, motorcycle parts, going with buddies. Just we drive to I think we drove to Tennessee one time. Me and my buddy, we
Dang,
did.
how long is that drive?
Well, my buddy Mike drove the first 27 hours straight, like a maniac. He's at
20 hours.
27 hours.
You got to stop for gas?
We did, but he had a diesel truck. But what we were doing was, it's funny, when he had me drive, I was like sleeping. It was like 4 a.m. and I feel like this, like we're going off road, and like pulls off it, like just like rips across the thing, the freeway, and he's like, "You ready to drive?" I'm like, "Yeah." I look at the clock. I'm like, "Dude, you drove for 27 hours." So like now I just woke up. It's like 4 a.m. I'm like,
Oh, man.
so I had a garage full of motorcycles. Watching my money go up and down, up and down, up and down.
Right.
That was tough. So what we did was Ashley had savings like she always does.
So she's prepared.
So she's prepared to do
Something.
anything
Yeah.
if something
What we
happens.
needed to
Fair
do.
enough.
I was running out of those stashes of money in my flannels. And we just decided we need to open up a business, like something that's going to be
Sustain consistent income.
absolutely. And
and I've always been into like health and wellness and
Right.
the fitness
Because,
industry
of course,
and
you're
cheerleading.
promoting a fit life with cheerleading.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and it's always been really important to me, like what you're putting in your body, and like you were talking about the mind. Like the mind is just as important as
Yes.
nutrition because it goes hand in
They
hand.
go hand in hand. Fair enough.
So, so I've always wanted to do something in that type of industry, and I'm not the idea person. Like I can help make it happen, whatever your idea is. I'm
In
like,
a
ooh, that's a
very-
great idea.
she's very detailed oriented. Like, okay, like we need to have this done, this done, this done, this done. Okay, now put in a list and get it done. Like, lawyer, what else? did we do?
Structured.
LLC, QuickBooks, all the above. So we, I was looking on this website. You ever seen that app? It's like a franchise app. You can buy into franchises.
Really? Oh, like parts of them?
Yeah, like Subways are like $45,000.
Sure.
But then you got to build it out and do all that, So we were looking at like franchises and stumbled upon water stores, and I was looking. I'm like, oh wow, like in,
Where were you
LA.
looking, by the way?
Yeah, it was
Just
it's
curious.
it's a franchise site.
Okay. Do you remember what it was called?
I don't remember what it was called. I have to think about it. But if you just Google something, it's like buy into franchises, it would come up. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty interesting. You'd be surprised when
Find a
something like
Find a franchise
Franchise to
to
buy.
buy.
franchise
something like-
opportunities.
yeah, and it ended up being a
Let's check out what this first one is real quick.
Yeah,
Because this might be useful for some of you listeners if you're thinking about doing it.
absolutely.
This is how these guys figured it out.
Absolutely. You look in your state.
Okay, so like how much money your budget is, like what
Absolutely,
you
how
want to
much-
spend, what industry you want to invest in.
And obviously, I was looking for under 50.
Okay,
Which
150K.
that would have been great. But see, look, carpet cleaning.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
I just
step.
used what was it, Subway, for example, because literally it's like 45,000 to open Subway. You know,
$45,000 to open up a franchise of Subway
yeah, that's
and
like,
eat fresh every day,
dude. I'm telling you.
dude.
I mean, yeah. I mean, everything does taste the same if you get, unless you get a meatball sandwich.
I used to get the spicy Italian.
Oh,
That
was my thing. That was my
yeah,
jam.
That
My
was our
jam.
go-to.
Yeah, spicy Italian
On the Italian herb bread.
let me get.
I turned to that, but I used to do sourdough before that.
Oh, I
so
love
they're both
sourdough.
good.
Do you still get Subway?
Yeah, yeah, I
Let me-
do. But I gotta go to the ones that are like kind of good because some of them are not being kept up the way they should.
Do me a favor.
Tell me.
So Ashley says that we always smell like onions. If she ever eats onions, she always says that Subway she smells like onions. But
I smell like their bread.
since Ashley's gone plant based and I work my best to be plant based on a daily basis,
But I eat steaks.
try if I was going to break, I would get a pizza or a burger. That's my jam. But
No.
I haven't broken in a while. Eat a sandwich, go to Spicy Italian, and don't get meat on it. And I bet you it tastes the same.
Totally.
Really?
Yeah, and you won't have swelling and your gut doesn't feel terrible.
Dang,
Well,
I might try it.
I mean, that's what she says. But
Since I moved to San Diego, it's California burritos or nothing. So I ain't even tripping.
do you ever go to Los Dos Pedros?
I have not gone there.
Oh, they put-
I usually go to right here, Ortiz on Garnett. That's my spot, man.
Please
I take
go-
people after the podcast that are new to San Diego.
Yeah.
That's where we go. The guys know me there.
Well,
They know me. I bring these people along.
Well, I had 3 burritos this weekend, so I'm down for a 4th.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
absolutely. I'm into it. I mean, burritos all day long. Like everybody's like,
I
"What do
mean,
you
they're
eat?" I'm
good.
like, "Burritos."
All right, walk me back. So you decided to look on this site and you found something about opening up a water store.
I just saw like water stores in like different counties and different states.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, this is interesting. I kind of looked at it and I look at the equipment. I'm like, this is super cool.
It reminds you of your Nesquik days.
Oh yeah, the Nestle days.
Tweaking
I mean,
Nestle.
Nestle.
That's all I remember.
Same-
Sounds
thing,
yeah.
same brand.
Nestle actually owns a lot of things.
Yeah.
Amazing,
Because
right?
They own a
the
ton.
Nestle is the I guess you'd say the umbrella company.
Yeah.
But
The
like-
parent company of everything.
What is it? Haagen-Dazs.
Oh wow.
That's Nestle.
Not even surprised.
Dryers.
Dryers, because we used dryers for a while. Bonbons used to be Nestle.
Wow.
Ice cream sandwiches. You ever had ice cream sandwich with the ice cream at 0 degrees but soft and the cookies hard? And when you bite into it, like the ice cream shoots out of the side?
Yeah, I have.
Right off the line. No, this is right off the line.
I've had those when your freezer breaks and your parent and like your ice cream sandwiches are like melting a little bit, but you got to eat them quick so the ice cream shoots out the moment you take a bite.
Okay.
So I've had it somewhat.
I love it. I mean, we would get half gallons, literally half gallons, and you'd use the lid to eat the half gallon because it came out of the filler
Dang,
head like 0 degrees.
How do you not like get fat? I don't get it. You just must have a really good body type.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate
work
that.
out a lot?
You have a good body type too.
I mean, he's
No,
constantly
I just
in the water.
I just wear loose shirts so they hide my gut. I've gotten the situation figured out. You just got to keep a good frame.
I thought you'd be
Yeah.
hitting on Ashley, not me.
You know. But no, you look very
Long
in
and
shape
lean.
yeah. I don't know how you do it, man.
It's my
I don't
it's
either.
my 100 push-ups a day.
Yeah.
And I have a pull-up bar in the
the
shop.
shop.
Did you see it? You saw it?
I think so. That's very good. That's
How
a
many
good
of you
thing.
have you not done any?
I don't think so.
What?
It's probably too high for me to reach.
You
I'll
just
give
gotta
you a
jump.
boost.
That's the only way
Give
I
you
can
a
do
boost.
one is I jump into it. Our neighbor Alex holds the record for 26 or 28.
Banged out 26. I mean,
Wow. We should open up I was thinking you could do like a challenge, like 20 push-ups gets you a gallon or something.
I think we do
kinda,
I think we do
yeah,
pull-ups.
we're gonna do pull-ups
Pull-ups will work.
yeah, we want to put a pull-up
done.
wall.
It's done.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
We're gonna do it.
Also, you should probably give if anybody comes to the store and has seen the podcast and says that they saw it and they say the word Blossom, maybe you can give them a gallon on me.
I like
Done.
that.
You know?
I like that.
There you go. Get some free
Done.
water, some of the best tasting water in Pacific Beach.
Absolutely.
best
The
tasting
mineral
water.
infused alkaline water with calcium, magnesium, potassium minerals.
Bang.
We
For
said this was going to be
people-
an ad-free thing.
Well, no, for people that don't know, actually, the funny thing is, right, like you're using a process to purify our water. And then because of that process, I think from what you told me that it takes out all the minerals because you have to purify it in such a way using reverse osmosis, which is a fancy way of saying it's doing some crazy cellular extraction things.
Filtered.
Yeah,
filtering
so,
it.
So water wants to naturally go where the concentrated solution is.
Yeah.
And so that's just how water flows. And so the reverse osmosis system reverses that process with pressure. So it pulls the water away from the concentrated solution
And leaves that solution behind
And
so you can
leaves
extract
that-
that away and have just clean water.
Exactly.
But it takes so much of it away that you got to then add in the good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one possible freak out for you would be if you added too much of something, but then you use these gauges to measure and see how much of
Yes.
each of those minerals have been added. Because too much of it can make somebody's stomach sick too.
Yeah,
Right.
somebody
Absolutely.
somebody that the high, if the pH is really high, then
Yeah.
it can tend to mess with people's
Yeah,
stomachs
yeah.
sometimes.
Or
But
we usually leave our pH right around like 9.7 to a 10, which is pretty good.
I got to say, because I have this bad habit of eating late at night.
Ooh, me too.
And I
What do you
usually
eat?
wake up, well, whatever, like it's usually fruits generally I like to eat late at night, which is a terrible thing because it's all sugar.
Mangoes with
Mangoes,
like
yeah,
and
but
chili.
if you're
pineapples
eating
and-
fruit, you could be eating a candy bar, which is
Well, I do that too.
Bad
And
sugar.
sometimes eat chips. And
man, I'm a chip fan.
bitchin' sauce, which is in San Diego. Who
Oh
doesn't
my
like that?
gosh.
do you get the
It's
Costco size one?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do too.
Yeah, it's
That
pretty
bitchin'
bad.
sauce
well.
is I've been
It's
bringing
quite
it to work.
bitchin'.
It is quite
quite
bitchin'.
The
Yeah.
spicy one, the Chipotle one.
Yes,
Oh,
but I got to
dude.
tell you something which might be useful. I usually wake up in the morning and I have somewhat like after I wake up. This is a little too much information, but the first thing I do is I go to the bathroom to take a poop,
Yeah.
which is great.
Me
but
too.
before I do
Squatty
that,
potty.
yeah, love the
Yeah.
squatty potty. But before I
Can't
do
go
that,
without it.
I wake up and I sometimes almost like every other day maybe, or maybe sometimes every day I'll wake up and I have a little bit of nausea or like some sort of like weird feeling in my stomach. But I wake up and the first thing I do is I drink our water, which comes from your store.
Absolutely.
And
you.
sometimes we'll add lemon to it. For most times we do. But I seem like the pH balance definitely neutralizes whatever like acidic behavior is going on in my stomach at the time. My suspicion is due to the food that I eat before I go to
That's
sleep.
exactly what it is.
Right. And so I know what's wrong.
Unless
with
you're
But
eating a
it's
handful
more-
of spinach. Are you eating like a handful of raw spinach before you go to bed? Is that when you get the munchies?
No, man.
No, I didn't think so. Neither do
No,
I.
no, it's
I have a
it's
rice-
all that. It's all of that. That good old
Processed.
Yeah, yeah,
Processed
yeah.
food.
Yeah. So I feel like the water helps. The
Oh no, the
pH
water does help.
that you guys are setting it to definitely helps. And I have this weird sort of thing. I got into it actually when I moved to the Bay Area. I noticed that water tastes different in different places that you go.
Oh, yeah.
Because I grew up in Orange County. Water pretty much stayed the same everywhere I went. Moved
Whereabouts?
up. So I grew up in Irvine.
Okay.
Once we moved from India here, my mom used to be a nurse in Irvine. So based on her being employed, we all decided to move here on her one income and start everything over here again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
cool.
And so then my parents bought a home in Mission Viejo, Ladera Ranch, more specifically, but like Mission Viejo, that area. So I kind of grew up there, went to middle school and high school there, but like half in Irvine and then half in Mission Viejo. Then I moved to, actually went to UCI for college, and then I moved up to the Bay Area, and that's when I realized water tastes different. And water up in the Bay, I lived in Emeryville, if you know where that is, right across from San Francisco, the first city you hit when you cross the Bay Bridge. And my tap water would taste insanely good, man. Like insanely good.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Close to the source.
I would
Yeah.
come home, fly home to my parents' house, and be like, Mom, your tap water tastes like crap. I can't do it. Then my parents got like the filtered stuff going, so they get the Arrowhead delivered at home, because they don't, have like a local water store like we do here.
Yeah, yeah.
And plus, it'd be a lot of work for my dad to probably go do that, so he gets it delivered at home. But like, yeah, purified water is a game changer. Surprisingly,
My
most people
friends-
don't think about it.
My friends don't even know what I'm talking about from Oregon and Washington because they have good
Just
fresh
good
water,
water.
straight out of the tap.
Yeah,
But here in San Diego, a lot of places around, the city uses chlorine to kill off the bacteria
yeah,
of the tap water. And the bad part about that is people drink the tap water, and when you drink that chlorine, it's killing off the probiotics of your own system. And so, because that's just what chlorine does. The chlorine doesn't know if it's good bacteria or bad bacteria. It just kills off bacteria.
So did you know about all this stuff before you got into the water business, or did you have to learn all of this stuff because you got into the water business?
We learned a lot, and we are still doing research on a daily.
There's so much to learn about
But
the
Anthony,
water business.
walk me from this website, and you figured out, you said, okay, I'm going to go get a water store. What were the next steps? What took place?
Writing down the numbers to we called a bunch of different companies.
Okay.
Started working with people, talking to them, seeing what we needed to open a store, crunching numbers, seeing what we had financially to do this.
But I think you found the spot before we even got to that point, right?
Found the
spot
Our
that's
location.
now?
Oh, that's right. We did find the location.
Yeah.
Okay, Siri, why don't you stop listening to my conversation? You
They're
psycho.
always
Oh, man.
listening.
She's always listening.
You're gonna have an ad tomorrow with something you talked about.
Yeah,
today.
that's okay. Water store. PB Water Store is
yeah.
going to advertise to me tomorrow.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I had a buddy, my buddy Mikey, calls me. He knows we're looking for a spot. He's just like, yeah. He's like, I think I see a spot for you. And he gave me the number. I called. Like, yeah, we'll meet you down there and check it out. So met the gentleman, Curtis and April. They're great. I mean,
Great
they're
landlords.
awesome landlords. They support us 110% with everything. And Ashley and him really got along well. He's a really nice gentleman.
Yeah.
And so we met him down there at the stop. So that's our first step. Like, we found the spot, and then we ended up getting the spot after about 2 months.
Yeah, there was a pizza spot or a pizza company that wanted to go in there.
Next to the donut bar that's opening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at the time there was Stuffed and Frat Boy Donuts.
Okay.
And they were open at the time.
And then we have Freshie, which
And then-
is
That's right next to
amazing.
you.
Oh,
yeah, which they're
amazing.
awesome. It's got healthy, bowls and wraps and
So you
good
guys got
stuff.
the whole block. People go get unhealthy donuts. They're going to get thirsty. They're going to go get water.
Oh, they're gonna be
Exactly.
so
They're going to go
thirsty.
be like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to probably make better decisions. So they'll
Right.
they'll go to Freshie and get a nice little
Yeah.
healthy
Yeah,
vegetarian
so-
Yeah.
meal.
Yeah.
So we were crunching numbers and we were working out to see if we could even
Do you
make
remember
this
what the
happen.
numbers came out to? If you don't mind disclosing any of that.
Well, we definitely
It's up-
underestimated.
We underestimated. I mean, it's upwards like close to like 100. You
So
know,
you need about $100,000
$75,000 to 100.
to do what exactly? To get a store location and all the paperwork or licenses required to get business permission.
the applications for the FDA, for the state, your permits to do the construction,
build out the rig and
plumber,
everything.
Yeah.
God, what do
Yeah.
one of those systems cost, man? Like, what is the one that you guys have?
the
to,
reverse osmosis
Yeah.
system it was close to like 30.
Yeah, it
and,
can.
35.
does a water store end up purchasing this equipment, or do
Yeah,
they
we
end up
bought it
leasing
outright.
So that's what we did. It was awesome, and it feels great.
Because now we own it. We bought it outright.
But you have
It's
all
ours.
responsibility of it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I mean, we're both pretty handy, like
Yeah, yeah.
if something goes wrong, she's good at researching what it is, and I'm good at figuring out and who can come and fix it.
This is where I get an anxiety attack. Like yesterday, I was like freaking out. What am I supposed to do now? Like I was literally like waiting to cancel this, but I was like, I'm gonna wait till the last second. If I literally don't figure it out by 5 o'clock today, then I would have told you guys. Sorry, I apologize. I messed up. I don't know what's wrong.
she'd have
that's the
been a
thing.
little relieved. She
I
was
was
like
so nervous.
anxious all day.
I literally can talk in front of a room full of thousands of people and have no issue. But then you put like a camera.
Well, that's
How
why I
many
picked these
cameras? And then,
small
like-
cameras because they're kind of like you forget about them.
Yeah. And then the microphone, I'm like,
But you're doing great. I think you guys are doing fantastic.
thanks. But back to your point, it's those things that are out of our control.
Yeah.
It's like, so you just have to make it work. You just got to let it roll and you got to,
So-
So
figure
did
it out.
you have to go and get a loan?
No,
No.
No.
I
He just sold off his motorcycles.
I think
Really?
so. Ashley had a good amount of money saved,
Okay.
and
Like a rough, because you said you were starting about in the 50K range, so I would
Yeah.
imagine roughly around that at least.
something
Right.
around there. And I had a little money saved, but I had a garage full of motorcycles. My motorcycles are
9
parked
motorcycles.
on the side of the house also, and I also had motorcycles like halfway across country, just like all these motorcycles. It's
So you
like
must have had at least like 100K worth of motorcycles maybe across
something
the
close,
country.
something
Yeah.
close to that.
Amazing.
And we just started just selling them off and paying bills and getting our equipment and just moving forward with it. And it was really a fun process.
And what was the inception date of this idea? Like when you started to
man.
look for the
Was
store?
it October or November that we
2018?
We were supposed to, in 2018. We were supposed to open the second week in November, correct?
Yeah, we were supposed to open the second weekend.
Second week in November, and it didn't happen.
And you guys
because
opened this year.
Well, because the state. So this is our first business.
There was some things we overlooked, and
Such as?
Like we thought we needed to get a permit from the state or approval from the state to open because
city.
Or sorry, yeah, the city because it's San Diego based.
Okay.
But because it's a product for human consumption, it needs to be approved by the FDA.
water
Water is already a resource that we pay for.
Right.
So everybody has tap water.
everything goes to the state.
So it's like, is your water, the state asks all these questions, like, is your water from a reliable source? If so, where is it from? And because ours comes from the San Diego city water, then that's an approved source. So to them, that's already city approved.
Gotcha.
So the state, this is what we had. I dropped the ball on this. I thought, I didn't know. I was researching for the city, and then I ran upon a retail water facility for the state, and I was like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. So then I started reading all that, and then I realized, it takes like 6 weeks for them to even get to your application, and then after that, it takes like another 6 to 8 weeks for them to come out and do the inspection to give you the thumbs up, you're good to open. And so like I said, I dropped the ball. So I was just calling constantly. And so as soon as I found out who the city inspector was, I was just calling every single day. Hey, it's Ashley Paradise with Local H2O. Just wondering where we are abouts in the lineup. And so then,
Because we were ready to open, like
we were ready.
We waited.
So you've had all the equipment bought and paid for. You have everything set up, and you can't open the doors because you haven't gotten approved from the state that your water facility is safe and sound. And that takes about 6 weeks roughly for you guys to even get the okay while you've already made all this investment.
Yeah, and because we found that spot, like we knew it was such a prime location that we needed to get it as soon as possible.
Right.
And then we came in that battle of that pizza joint coming in, and the landlord was like, "Man, did you guys cheer your?"
Well, I didn't do any cheering.
You didn't. He's like,
But,
"Man, did you cheer your way into this one?"
Wow.
He literally walks up and he's like giving us the keys. He's like, Ashley, you really cheered your way into this one. Because opening a business. So like, if you're going to open a business, right, you're putting all this money out to spend money on equipment, spend money on build outs and construction and all that. But they want to see like, I'm going to sign a lease for 10 years, right? Or 5 years. They want to see 10 years of that money that you can pay them rent,
Right.
like financials.
Well, and you can't get a business loan from a bank unless you've been open for 2 years of business.
Yeah.
They won't
Really?
give you
I
one.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
So
they
if you
won't.
had an idea and you wanted to raise capital to make that business idea happen, the bank will not give you a loan.
You better
Not a
talk to a good
business.
friend.
I see.
With money.
I was misinformed about that. I didn't know that was a thing. So
Yeah.
you
Isn't that
have to
interesting?
show revenue for a bank to give you a
2
loan.
years.
So your options are
2
either
years.
go to a private person,
Yeah.
that would be a
Or get a
private lender,
personal loan.
or a personal loan, friends and family.
Hence why people have business partners.
Right.
Like
Somebody
you have the idea
investment.
and I have the money.
Make it happen
Let's
together.
make it happen because we can't
Gotcha.
go to the bank and get that. So yeah, we sold a bunch of motorcycles. We saved some money and we just
Started paying on the spot, and then because we couldn't build the equipment, which was
You
another
have
thing.
to get the equipment.
We had to,
Which
and
it took
they
2 months
build
to
it.
build,
They build
you
it
know?
from the ground up.
No, do you have to put it all together yourself, or could you get help with that?
So the system they actually build for you,
Okay.
and then all the plumbing.
And who is
everything.
it? Like this is a private
This is
water
a
filtration
Water Business
company.
USA.
Water-
They're based out of Vista,
San Marcos,
San Marcos.
Okay.
Twin Oaks Boulevard. Great guys.
Bruce and Ryan.
Yep. They
Awesome dudes.
So
helped
roughly
us a
about
lot.
$30,000 it takes to get everything to you plus installation.
Well,
That's
no,
just
he
the-
did all the installation. That's just the machines.
Gotcha.
That's just the actual reverse osmosis machine. Then we have the fill station. We have the
tanks.
alkaline filter. We have the tanks. We have the UV lights. You have the extra
The
filters. They're-
ozone.
And
ozone.
this doesn't include all the faucets and everything, right?
Not
None
even
of the
close, no.
output.
No, just the reverse osmosis.
I told her I
system's
can't
like
believe
30
So when we bought like the fill station, right? The fill station is just it's pressured by a pump that's on the actual RO system. I looked at it. I was like, I've never bought something so expensive without a motor.
That's crazy because you just came from all these bikes and stuff,
Yeah.
and you've bought this machine. That's so cool. So you're in the hole now. You bought everything. So how long did it take actually to get the approval?
10 weeks.
Yeah.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
So
So
you couldn't
we-
open in 2018. So now not only now you're not making money, you've already put all this money in and it's not able to turn any revenue at all.
Nope.
And
We had-
you have to pay rent because regardless you've signed the lease and bought the equipment,
We're 4 months in paying rent.
paying rent and not making a single dollar.
Not a dime.
So how much was rent roughly per month?
$4 a square foot over there.
Yeah.
Wow. And how big is the place?
5.
It's like
something.
600 square feet.
Yeah. And then we have cam fees, which is your
So
common
about $2,000 a
area maintenance.
month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we have. Gosh, you're good at math, man. I'm a
No,
cheerleader.
I'm not. I'm actually terrible at math.
But I'm a cheerleader. I count to 8 and then I start back at 1. Like I just don't. I'm not a numbers person.
I've never heard that.
So, but then we have common, and then we have common. You know, we have our
9
our,
and 10 scare me. I don't like those numbers.
Don't, I try to
You don't
stay
do
away.
5, 6, 7, 8? How's that work? Is that dancing?
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's my leading up to to 1.
It's not 5, 6, 7, 8?
Back to 1.
Back to 1.
5, 6.
1.
There we go.
So, so then we have our common area
knows what's
maintenance, and we have to pay for that. And so it's roughly about $2,500 a month.
Wow.
But that's just rent.
That's just rent. That's not power. That's not the water bill.
Nope.
Because the water store has a water bill.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah,
How many gallons of water do you think you guys process a week?
A week?
that'd be a question for you, sir.
On a daily basis, we're going through like anywhere from like 50 to 100. Just depends on how busy we are. I know
50
that
to 100 gallons of water.
a day.
A day.
A day.
Times 7.
It's
Whoa,
like
that's 7,
But see, that's not
800
even.
gallons of water.
So, in reading a lot of literature about opening a water store, you're wanting to do like 500 to 800 to
Gallons.
be doing well.
A day.
A day.
Because I mean, our price point.
You're on
Our
a
price
sell
point's
that.
55 cents.
Yeah, so it's a very low buy.
55 cents
Very
for
low price point.
Fair enough.
So we
And
gotta sell a lot
honest
of
to God,
that in order to make
I
rent.
thought when I first came here, I was like 55 cents. What are these people? Not you guys, but the other water stores the same price. I'm like, what is this? 55 cents? So expensive for water. But you don't realize how much it takes to get a water store up and running,
No.
right?
We'll go to the store and buy a gallon of water. Actually,
Right.
go buy just a 32-ounce bottle of water, and
Yeah, it's about $1
yeah,
per gallon.
about $1.
$1.25.
not even per gallon.
Yeah.
It's like 32 ounces. A kid came in today, a gentleman. He's pretty cool, and he's like, "This water's been saving my life." And he pulls out this water bottle, and I'm like, "Cool." And he's like, "Do you have this water?" And I'm reading the label, and it's like, minerally infused alkaline water with calcium, magnesium, potassium minerals. And I go, "How much did you pay for this?" And it was like a 32-ounce bottle. He goes, $2.55, and I'm like, "Cool." I was like, "Here's a gallon
For $2.
for
Yeah.
$2 if you have your own
Jug.
container,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if you don't, it's $3 for the milk jug."
Yeah.
You know,
And the tough part with buying bottled alkaline water or just even filtered water from a grocery store is, I mean, like I said, we're constantly doing research, and there's like microplastic pieces that they're finding in bottled water.
Right,
and the
right.
longer your water sits in a plastic bottle from the plant to the transportation sitting in a warm, hot truck, or depending on where it's coming from, then how long it's been sitting on the store shelves or even in their back area.
There's little stuff from the plastic seeping into that
Yeah,
water that you're drinking.
and it's BPA free, which most plastic, bottles are, but water's not made to be stored in plastic. So we have BPA free plastic bottles, and you're drinking your water through those bottles faster than that. Our jugs are leaking into it, or any jug is leaking into
yeah.
it. But you want to replace those bottles every 2 to 3 years because plastic will break down.
And then what is the counterpart if you use glass? Is there a metric for that? Or glass is basically good forever?
Glass is pretty good forever. That's what they recommend. Like the Environmental Worker Group, that's what we kind of base everything off of.
Okay.
They hold everything to a higher standard.
I wouldn't buy vintage glass and drink out of it.
No, because
Gotcha.
it's probably not lead free.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
So
it's not
our glass
lead-free.
is lead free. But if you are to store water for emergencies, you need to keep it in glass in a cool, dry place.
The glass just becomes heavy. That's the only downside,
That's
right?
tough, dude. And water weighs 8.2,
8.3.
8.3.
Funny
A gallon.
funny
A
story.
gallon.
I used to actually use water dumbbells in the house.
Yeah.
just like for fun.
I feel like those are old school.
Oh, so you know how much water weighs.
Yeah, well, I would just like play around with it because in the house I was like, I'm not buying this expensive dumbbell set. And I just wanted to like have a few, so if I wanted to like not make it to the gym and just do like something quick in the house, and get 2 or 3 of those, fill them up with water, and then you can pour them out and make them lighter. And also, yeah, water is really versatile, you know, especially, and it does get heavy. 5-gallon, you know, try to carrying 2 of those. This guy gets a workout. What most people don't know is that unique to your store, you actually help people get their water, fill it up, and then give it back to them in their cars or whatever have you, which I don't know how long that's going to scale for you once you start having a shitload of people coming through.
Hey,
but
I try to
that's
balance
pretty
as best
awesome.
But you know,
as
it's like people wait though.
Yeah.
Because I think the most part, the funnest part for me is the people that we get to meet on a daily basis,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah,
that come
yeah.
into the store, like you were just there for like 30, 45 minutes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like people come in and we just meet the coolest people.
Well,
Yeah.
you're meeting the city, you're meeting your community, everybody that's
Yeah.
around you, and you're seeing what kind of where you know everybody comes to get their water. And
Yeah,
I was
no,
telling him it's the most fantastic idea I would say for just finding out what everybody's up to and being sort of that like central place where you can connect different people and
Yeah.
different dots together, and you know seeing your business mind and your you know sort of creative part of operationalizing it. It's like you guys are the perfect duo for running a water store. It's just it's way more than a water store, I would
Thank
say.
you.
I
Thank
agree.
you. Abhinav used this terminology the other day. Water cooler. You know how like everybody's like around the water cooler talking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
at
Yeah.
work?
It's
Like
a
at
community
office?
water cooler, 100%.
Community
Yeah,
water
you're
cooler.
right. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Dual meanings.
Yeah,
I
fair
liked it.
enough.
I
I
liked
think so. I think the water store is definitely going to become that. Just knowing the personality that's behind it, you know, it's like it's just going to come out of you guys naturally because you're already thinking about that in your day-to-day life. You're always figuring out, okay, well, how can I take this thing and potentially make, you know, this out of it? So you already have that mindset, and that's just going to happen. People are going to walk in, and that's going to connect. Hopefully, I can help with that in any way I can, you know,
Absolutely.
and bring some more people over to the studio. You know, let's get the word out about it and things like that. So walk me to now, how does this play out into your personal life? Because the two of you are married. You've been married for about, 10 years now?
No, we're actually
That's
coming
right. You were
up on
playing
our-
around in the beginning.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
actually coming up on our 1-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow.
We just got
Congratulations.
married.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
you got married in about May last year or June last year?
June
June.
7th.
And you're a June 8th birthday.
That's right.
That's right. That's awesome,
Good
man.
memory.
Yeah,
Cool.
really good
No, I
memory.
just looked it up on Instagram.
Uh,
I'll be real about
does
it.
his research.
I'm
does
terrible
his
with
research.
birthdays.
I'm terrible with names, but I'm learning how to do this.
Yeah, I got to get better at that too, man. Like the name part is hard for me. I don't know why.
I've been writing it down
That's
and
a good
then
way to
putting
do it.
something that reminds me of that person. And every time like they walk in, I look at my sheet. I'm like, okay,
Wait, which one
I
is
know
it? Which
who
one
this
it?
is.
it's Matt.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's Matt. And I even like, you know, if I have a short conversation, like, you know, like, how was your day? What are you up to today? Like, how was your weekend? Like,
Yeah.
And I remember something like, so I try to like throw out those, you know, little reminders to like, how do I remember that guy's name? Or like one of the new things that I've been doing is like, oh, like that's what you do for work? Oh, cool. Do you have an Instagram? And then I
just
look
add
at
them
it.
there.
So then,
Yeah.
you know, you're seeing
Seeing 'em
something
on their
over
feed
and over
and-
again. It's just like, it's how you market yourself, right?
Yeah.
If somebody's seeing you over and over again and you're coming up and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They'll know who it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So back to the question: what is it that you guys are doing? Any practical advice that you could give to me? Because you know I'm trying to figure this out with my girl here, and she's very entrepreneurial, and I'm somewhat like fake entrepreneurial because I'm kind of like too scared to take big risks, but I do my fair share when I wanted to. But I'm curious, how do you guys work out the balance there? It seems like you're new into a marriage, but you've been together, and now you've opened up your first business, so it's uncharted territory for both of you.
Yeah. The biggest challenge has just been from us being around each other all the time.
Yeah.
Like I love his company.
Yeah.
And so now we're not around each other all the time. And I think that's the hardest part. So I do work from home, so I have a lot of flexibility.
Gotcha.
So I'm able to come down to the shop and help out. But he loves being there. Like
So what
he's-
you're doing from home is the NCA stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you're full time right now because somebody has to man the gates
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and be there at the shop.
Yeah, we tried to do the whole he was working with a buddy, and I was like, well, maybe I can work the shop and do my NCA job. And it just got to the point where it's like I'm on the phone with a customer and a customer walks into our store. It's like, who's more important?
We
the
weren't even-
phone call is the one paying our bills.
Actually, roll back a little. We weren't even open yet when I had those other jobs. Like when I went and worked for a friend and worked with somebody else, like
Oh,
we
yeah.
we didn't even have the doors open yet, and we thought maybe we could do this.
You're talking about the first 4 months?
I'm talking
Yeah.
about this
yeah.
is like
when
this
we
is
weren't
like,
even when the doors weren't even
this
open.
is like
You're right.
2 months before we were gonna open,
Right.
And like we thought we were gonna open November, we ended up not opening in November, and like I had another job, like I was working
Because
with
you
a
had to
friend.
make income at the
Yeah,
time.
I was
Yeah.
making income, and
We were
then
just trying to
I-
make any
then I
like
went-
extra money that we
yeah,
could.
and she called. I got home one day. She's like, we can't do this anymore. We have to you have to be home working on this. Like,
Yeah.
I can't manage both.
Like
And
somebody
we
has
weren't-
to be full time on this.
We weren't even open yet. That's the thing.
Right.
So, yeah, it got to the point. Like, I think for me personally, like, I love getting up in the morning and walking to work.
Did the thought ever come to you at the time where the first 4 months you didn't take it off the ground to just say, screw it, let's just get out of it?
No way.
No.
No.
Never. I wouldn't have taken this leap. Like I said, I'm like my father. I plan and plan again. There was something in my gut, and like I'm the big believer that we've got two brains, one in the head and one in the gut. And there was something in me that just said,
I think guys
This is
have. I
gonna
think
be-
guys have 3 brains.
yeah, sure. You're right.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
But like something in me just said like, this is going to work, like no matter what. And I think a lot of that is because, like I said, Anthony's a hustler. Like he will make sure, like we will never starve because
Yeah.
he will make sure that we don't. But like everything in me, like I would get really, really nervous and super duper excited about it. But everything told me that this is it. Like this is for us. Like we are
Yeah.
going to be successful and we are going to make this work. And so, no, even though it didn't work out when we said we were
For
going to open in
November?
November, like it didn't matter. We were just like, okay, here's another day. What
Yeah.
are we going to do to get closer to getting these doors open? Like, okay, I screwed up. I dropped the ball and I realized like, oh, we didn't have to do this, the city thing. It's the state thing. It's like, well, it's no beating, no point in beating ourselves up over
Yeah.
it.
One of the biggest,
learning and live
one of the scariest moments was around that 5th month where we had said in our head, like, this is good to do. If you're gonna open a business, make sure you have like at least 6 months of your bills, your rent, like your total overhead
All of that covered.
saved.
Yeah.
So make sure you have that, because if you don't, how are you gonna make money? If
Right.
you're working
So-
if you're working on opening your business and you have another job, then you're not going to be able to work on opening your business. So Ashley was doing everything for like the last 2 months on helping opening or doing everything to open the business.
Right.
And I was on like my off time, I was going and helping, but that was a very important
Yeah.
Like,
you definitely had
To have
we
some
had to have a
reserves.
cushion
Have some
detail to
reserves.
have
Yeah.
that to the side. Like I remember like
because we weren't making rent.
Right. So how do you guys balance, like, obviously, Anthony, you're very much like Superman type, and you're like, you're gonna save the day no matter what happens. But what happens on the days where you are not feeling up to par? Because everybody has those days, and how is it that you guys balance each other out on that? Especially like, okay, you mentioned you messed up on certain things that were pertinent information for the business to be successful off the ground. In those low moments when your business partner is also your spouse now, like how does that play into it, and where do you find the practicality in that and balance that?
that's having bad days is like I have this thing with me, and I'm a very positive person, and I don't really get down too often. I would be honest with you, like it's not like some like I'm just saying that to say it. Like
Sure.
I feel like I bring a lot of like positiveness to. I feel like I could find like the good in it. I'm like, whatever, like I'm not gonna let it bother me.
And I'm hard on myself and I'm hard on him.
But
Yeah.
I think what like the only thing I could say is like when I'm hungover and I have to go to work, like that's a tough one.
Sure.
Like that would be like I'm not feeling it today. Like I'm hungover this morning, so like I just chug a lot of alkaline water and go get
There
a
you
burrito.
go.
Go get a burrito by noon, and I'm like ready to go. You know.
Totally.
But yeah, that's how we charge through that. I think like Ashley touched on earlier, like not being around each other a lot as much as we want to. Like I see her in the morning before I leave. Maybe I'll go, I'll go surf in the morning, see her for about 20 minutes before I, go to work. She's at home making celery juice and comes and brings me lunch, and she's in and out because she's working. And then at night we see each other for dinner. Watch a little Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So what's the plan, Ashley? Are you going to try to go full time in the shop at some point?
I don't think so. I really love what I do. I mean,
see.
I haven't been working for the company for 18 years for nothing. Like,
Right.
I really believe in like the message and just having the athletes have an activity or be a part of something that's like bigger than them.
Yeah.
And so I love what I do, and it's very fulfilling to me.
Right.
So yeah, it would be nice over time, I guess, but I don't see a reason to do that, especially when we are, we're not making any money. We're covering our overhead
Right now.
Yeah.
Because you said, as he mentioned, you need to make about what you are making now in a week and roughly about a day in terms of processing water
Correct.
and getting people to come in and take the water.
Correct.
So what do you see some of the challenges right now from, because you're more of the operational, head here. So what do you see in terms of being the challenge? Like, why are you not able to get more people in? Or is it because the other water store is getting more business, or are not more people
well, they're definitely
aware
established
about you guys?
Yeah, I think it's
you
just
know?
that we haven't gotten the word out. And
Yeah.
so I think another part where we could have been better has been working on our social media from day one. Like,
Yeah.
even though we weren't open, I think the hardest part for a business is not having the content.
Yeah.
We weren't open. It's like, what do we post?
Well,
It's
what
like,
do you post about? You're a water store, right?
Right, exactly. So it's like, what do we post about?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have a sip of that.
There you go.
And so it's like, yeah, so we didn't really have any content. So I
Yeah.
think we could have done better doing that. But yeah, I mean, the PB Water Store is very established. Bruce, Terry's husband, ran it for the longest time.
Right.
And then he passed away a few years ago, and then Terry took it over. And they were such a lovely couple. And so, they're established and they've built a lot of
So
relationships.
did the
and
thought come in saying like, "Hey, we're going to compete with another water store"? And what did you think about that? I'm pretty sure you just probably went over there and just told them straight up and talked to them about it.
yeah, he definitely did.
That'd be my guess.
I think
did.
my biggest worry was just like, it's competition.
It's
like
going to become like a business thing, not like a
but
community.
But our community is so small, not PB, but just the water community alone. Like, so we're all friends. Like, we went around to all the water stores and like introduced ourselves and told them that we're opening up. And like,
Yeah.
basically we went in there more of like an open heart and an open mind and been like, hey, look, like, we're here to help. Like, if there's anything that you need, or if there's product or a customer or whatever, like, we're here to help and be
Yeah.
a resource. Like, we don't, obviously it's competition because we're business,
business, yeah.
and we got to make money, but we're not like cutthroat people. We're very kind.
Everybody was really helpful.
Yeah.
There was a couple places that were like kind of like cool guide us, but when I walked in to talk to Terry, I introduced myself. We've been going to that water store for a while.
Add some water to it.
She's
Actually, I do like when an ice cube melts it.
no, I can do that for you.
It's okay, baby. Thank you.
But I mean, open arms, like whatever you need, whatever I can help you with. Broke down some of the, things that she goes through as a water store. I mean, it was like, and when I say open arms, like hugs and best wishes, and you need anything, and like, so if I do need anything or she needs anything, they
Yeah.
know they can call us. So it's one of those things. It's like, I thought about it when we were opening, because what can we bring to the neighborhood that's going to bring health and wellness to our friends, our family, and all of our neighbors?
Right.
And there's a, like, everybody mirrors another business to open their business, and that's how it goes. But there's an abundance of the same businesses in all of our small neighborhoods in San Diego. Like, you go to North Park, there's
Right.
a lot of the same businesses. You go to PB, there's a lot of the same businesses. So I mean, think about how many Mexican food joints there are.
Tons. I was actually going to ask you, from your research, how many water stores do we have, you think, in San Diego?
Well,
So I know that there is
just in
wonder if
our
that's
like
a
surrounding.
North County has at least 2.
Yeah, but there's like the OB water store. There's a Claremont water store. There's the PB water store. There's local H2O. There's
Let's just say what's around us, right?
yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
basically
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it shows at least 3 in the nearby map, and that's not a ton.
What did you search there?
how
I said, how many
stores?
water stores in San Diego?
And where are we on
We're
this?
still not there.
So
We gotta get status.
Come
so
on,
we're like,
Google.
Come on, people.
you
Search
are
us
right
on-
there, local
Yeah, but
H2O.
on the
Right
on the
there.
left,
We're
where
on the left,
where are
we're
we at?
how
Oh, we're
far are
second.
we? Oh,
Huh.
cool.
You're number 2. Well, also it's going to use my geolocation, right? So I think it would show you on the higher side of it.
Okay. But
We
yeah,
definitely
1,
need
2,
to get more
3,
Yelp
4, 5,
reviews.
6,
And Google.
So I had an
reviews.
idea for you. You have all these cute cheerleaders. You should just have them come out to Garnett, put a sign up, do a little cheer on the side with the cars driving by. Here's
Yeah.
some water. Bring your own jug. Get a free gallon. First time's on us.
Yeah.
Next time you know where to come.
We,
Do they do like how do you do a W?
Oh, that's a good one.
Well-
you got to take the legs. Two girls
How
have
do
to
you
go
do
one
it?
on the
upside
back.
down
The mascots do it on the back.
Show me how to do a W.
right now.
I want to see
Well,
W.
then I don't want to kick any of your stuff. So like the legs go out in a V.
Oh boy,
And then you put your hands in the middle like that.
you guys seen this?
I didn't see.
Hey,
Oh.
Oh, okay.
That's a W.
I love
There you
it.
go.
We're gonna have to snap that one out and put that on Instagram.
I haven't seen that. That's actually
a
pretty
good
dang
one.
good. Wow.
Somebody has to like
It's
jump.
much easier when you're laying on your back, but
Yeah, fair enough.
of course it is.
I know how to do like a Y, and maybe like an M,
And the C and an A.
and a C and an A.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we actually, my girlfriend, she does a lot with the nonprofit for Cheer San Diego.
Yeah.
Supports the LGBTQ community. And she was like, you need to get them out on the corner.
Yeah.
Holding up signs.
Well, you guys could start also sponsoring. I think you've already started to do that. Like if there's local events, bring like a gallon or whatever of water because every place needs water.
Yeah.
And the more people recognize where they're getting their water from.
So that's
know.
something we told ourselves in the beginning that we were not, we were going to take every opportunity possible.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't know what was going to go on or even know how it was going to run or benefit us in the long run. Like we just thought we just need to take every opportunity we can.
what'd you do? So you did the forums at Carlsbad, which is North County.
Yeah.
I mean, it has nothing to
I went
do
all the
with
way to North County just because they invited us to hand out water. And I was
Yeah.
like, great.
which
you
are
got it.
we're we're a demographically based company, right? So like you want to be in your neighborhood. So but we'll still
But
we'll
a
still reach
social media
out.
post is a social media post.
Where'd you
Yeah.
go today?
Oh, I went to Breakwater Brewery
In Oceanside.
in Oceanside.
Okay.
And our buddy Tommy Zam, he runs a what's his company?
I think it's called True something.
True Skate, something
True
of that.
Skate. True Skate. He interviews. We talked about it a little bit earlier. He
Yeah, yeah.
interviews, skates, and or anything that has to do really with skateboarding. And so I went over there on my way home from Costa Mesa from that coaches conference, and I just stopped in and hang out and watched him do a couple interviews. And the owner there, Shannon, he
True
was like,
Skateboarding Mag.
there you go. He let us. He let them bring our water, and he set it up there. And they have the soda machine where you
Yeah.
dispense the water. He's like, our water tastes terrible, and that our 3-gallon jug was gone by the end of the day.
Yeah. That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, you can totally taste the difference.
So what is it that you guys are seeing in terms of strategy for the next? So is it fair to say that because of the kickstart of the 4 months being, without profit or without any revenue, you guys are sort of backlogged a little bit, but you're
Yes.
playing catch up, but at the same time you're playing the long-term game, so you're not trying to undercut and do any short-term gains here. And you're trying to strategize and make sure that everything you're doing is aligned with long-term community benefit, not just like we need to make money now mindset. So what is it you guys are seeing in the next, let's say 6 to 12 months? What is the water store strategy here? Like, are you guys trying to do more paid social media advertisements? Are you trying to do more? What are you thinking around this? Or have you figured out that now that you're in this business, more of what you're going to need to do is learn that side than you ever thought before?
Well,
it's a little bit of both.
there's a couple things that I want to touch on there.
Yeah, I say a lot of things at once.
We don't. I don't feel that because we were able to buy our equipment, pay our rent. I don't ever feel like I'm like in the hole.
Yeah.
As the term that you use, like it.
we definitely are financially in the hole.
Yeah, but
as a business,
Right.
But I don't play
yes.
that game where like if I invest
But
the
not
money,
here.
if I invest the money in something, like I already invested the money, I forgot about it. Like
Right.
it's fine. Like now it's like what I'm bringing in monthly. So like one of our strategies lately, you can vouch for this. Like our social media, we are like on top of it on a daily basis, like
He's
spending like
really good at it.
spending like 2 to 3 hours a day, like really getting into our social media, posting 4 to 5 times a week.
Which
Putting
isn't
out
even
stories,
like you really
taking-
should be posting like 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
taking pictures of customers that come in, putting them on our Instagram, I believe, and then it flows over to Facebook also. I can see us doing. We're talking about some delivery options. We're talking about
That's a great idea.
outdoor fill station,
Okay,
so I can
good.
have a day off.
Right. So and then
we can just
people
hang
want to
out.
come at nighttime. Like right now, people can't get water if they wanted
Right.
to, but
No.
if there was a fuel station outside, they
Exactly.
could.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, just the conveniency of being open is what you need. It's
How
like,
about this? I got one for you.
I got what is it?
Swap your things out. So you just have those loaded up, ready to go. I just bring you mine, and I just take them ready to go.
So
Just a few.
That's a pretty good
You know,
idea.
so that way maybe people could have like kind of the propane tank return policy where you just bring your empty tank and you don't try to fill it up there. You just take one that's ready
Oh,
to
do you
go.
want alkaline or do you want purified? Okay, boom.
Done.
Yeah, I think where that's actually a really good
And you
idea.
can start that off with by giving people, you have to get them from us initially. So that way we know like they're all good and we can recycle them and we want to circulate the good ones around. And if you want to bring your own, then you got to come in regular business hours.
like, I mean, great idea. And that's another thing that we always said was
I
like,
just fly shit
That's-
out.
yeah,
a
that's
good
great.
idea.
So
Don't
that's
have to use
that's
it,
another
but-
thing that we said. We were like, oh no, well that no, we knew that if we were going to be successful in this business, that we had to take anybody's ideas
Yeah.
and be open to them. Because if you're closed-minded and you think that you've got it all figured out,
Yeah.
you're going to be very disappointed in the long run.
No
like,
matter how well and successful you or how great and successful
Well,
you are.
Yeah.
also everybody loves to give ideas when they're not involved in the risk, you know.
yeah, but I love that. I feel like that's
That's
when
a great
people are
idea,
more.
though,
Yeah, but I
you
think
know?
I think it's more. It means more because it's like
Yeah.
we get stuck working in the business.
You're seeing it from the number side of things. You're thinking
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't know if I want to afford to do that, if that's a good idea financially.
And then
but
somebody
outside could give you.
Yeah, and so
fair
we were
enough.
just we said we'd always be open to everybody's idea. So please do not hold back. Like if you have an idea,
Maybe
bring
we
it
could
on.
start a pool where people can give a suggestion box.
That's actually a really good idea. You
Yeah.
know, we've
slide
talked
into our
about
DMs.
virtually,
Yeah,
yeah,
slide into
yeah,
our
yeah.
DMs. Let us know.
slide into DMs. Oh man,
It's all more work for
Sounds-
Anthony.
sounds dangerous.
So
I
are
know,
you
right?
at all on the social media page?
Not so much.
Okay.
She works. You know, Ashley really works hard for NCA. Like she is hustling every single. Why'd you put that so far away from me?
Yeah.
Well,
What are you
because
trying
you
to
put
do
it
here?
over here, so I thought you were just giving it to me.
But she works.
Thanks, babe.
She's working hard on like her full-time job, and
Yeah.
like I really respect that about her. It really makes me happy that she is. I heard this from somebody one day. I used to travel with her to do camps and hang out, and one of the gentlemen that she works with was like, Ashley is not a cheerleader, she's the cheerleader. And I was like super impressed, you know, because like I know how hard she works. Like Ashley's in her office like early in the morning, and I get home from work and like she's still answering emails. I'm just like, girl, you put in like a
How do
12-hour
you
day.
keep the energy up all day long? What's your strategy? How do you do it? Is this something practical that other people can replicate?
I think it's just, I mean, I try to take a lot from Anthony, but I've always just been in, I don't know, I just get really excited. I don't feel like I've ever actually worked a day in my life because I've always had a job that I really love. Like even when I worked for Abercrombie & Fitch, I loved what I did. I
Yeah.
worked with really fun people. I was surrounded by really cool folks. And then with NCA, I was surrounded by the most genuine people. I've made my best friends
Yeah.
through NCA. And so I've just always done something that I really love. And so I just really feel like I've never worked a day. And even at the water store, even though it's been really stressful because it's
Yeah.
like our money, I just realized that like we're both super hardworking people. And so it's never going to fail because we're just super excited about the business and we're just always willing to put in hard work. But it's even more exciting now because the hard work is for us.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. And I'm just really passionate about things. I get really excited when we talk about fitness or nutrition or, you know, the mind and how important it is to, you know, work out the mind like it is the body and how to extend your life and how to, you know, work out for anti-aging and how to eat well and, you know,
Yeah, I'm really 50. I didn't know if you knew that. Yeah,
Me too, dude.
yeah.
So yeah, I just get really passionate. So I feel like if you invest your time and your effort and you're excited about something, it won't feel like work.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it really is.
Huh. That's very good. And, you know, I think the subtext that I'm getting here is that you guys there's a fundamental set of planning that you got to do. You got to figure out the books and your numbers. But after that, you really just got to go in it, but have the long-term strategy, which for you guys seems to be that we have the work ethic. We've proven that to ourselves. we're strong together, and we'll figure out the details as they come along. So
Yeah.
you're not clearly not as stressed out as I would have thought. If I was in your shoes, I would probably be freaking out.
If there's something we don't know business wise, because like I said, this is our first actual on books business. I mean, I just Google it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I really
Start
do.
there. Why
I'm
not?
all about
I
research.
call friends.
Yeah.
Which is also a good idea.
That's
Yeah.
what I use. I use all my resources. But our future is going to be there's the outdoor fill station,
Delivery,
there's
possibly.
delivery, and there's bottling water. Like there's 3 things that we really would like to get into.
Yeah.
It's just a process.
Yeah.
You know, I
There's
mean,
some hoops that you have to jump through.
Right now, we have a retail water license, which allows us to sell water jugs and for people to come in and get water from us.
Is there potential of making a duplicate store, maybe replicating locations outside of this one place at some point?
Yeah, I think that's
Absolutely,
That'd be ideal.
why we did local. That's why we
Absolutely.
did local H2O. So
Yeah.
it's like right now it's local H2O PB.
Yeah,
Could
yeah.
be
Local
local
H2O
H2O Silver Lake.
Yeah, yeah.
You
fair
know,
enough.
it could be in LA, local H2O LA,
Texas.
local H2O Dallas, like anywhere. I mean, your water's literally coming from your local source, and you're showing people that we can take this water and make it good and
Yeah.
get, and hand it out.
So potentially making it a franchise.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll see one
Just
day on
maybe.
there. On this website, it'll say local PB or local H2O is a potential business that you could start on your own, and here's how you do it.
It's not a bad idea.
You learn from Anthony and Ashley here,
That's right.
and you heard it here first.
Yep. Absolutely.
On Blossom Media Studio, baby. Wow, that's amazing. Honestly, I don't know what else that I did not cover, because I think you guys have given me a good amount. My main thing is all like, figuring out if there are things that worry you, I can obviously provide strategy, so you can always come back to me for that if there's ever a moment, which doesn't seem like for the two of you will come, but there might be a day. But hopefully in those times I can be here for you to brainstorm with, and maybe that's the value I can bring to the table, because I can just kind of talk for hours.
This was really cool, by the way.
We've actually gone literally for 2 hours.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Let me ask
feel
you a
like we haven't
question.
even-
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, one of you got to go first.
Well, I was just gonna say, we love to like educate people. I think
Yeah.
that's my biggest thing is, obviously coming from the training and education side of cheer, like I don't get to work in the water store very often. So when I do, I feel like sometimes I'm a little overbearing, because I'm like, oh, you need because I don't like to, but like, I like to give people the knowledge
Yeah.
of like how and why water is good for
It's
you.
hilarious. I'll be sitting there and be like, so tell us about your system. And she's like,
Yeah. I'm like,
can I go? Can I go?
Tap me in, coach.
And
Yeah.
she's like, she's in there and she's just like telling them everything about the health benefits and like how we do it and this and
Yeah.
that. But
because you don't realize like water. Like if you want to lose weight, drink water.
It's
If
funny
want
you
better
bring that
skin.
up. When I was in bodybuilding, I would always have a gallon jug with me, and I
Absolutely.
would drink about 3 of those a day.
Yeah.
3
And-
gallons.
Yeah, I would drink
That's
roughly about that, and I would
crazy.
pee clear like all day long.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I would also be eating like 7 meals a day, 6-7 meals a day. So if I didn't drink water, I wouldn't process the food.
Yeah.
How did you
But-
get into bodybuilding? I was going to ask
Ah.
you. There's a couple. That's
Yeah.
part one of the question, but also
What's part 2?
Blossom Media.
Where
Like,
does
how
that come
did
from?
Blossom come in? So you can answer
Yeah.
either one, whatever you want.
So let's go with bodybuilding. Like, part of it was when I started. The reason I got into bodybuilding, when I was in high school, and it was getting that time where everybody has to go pick a college and things like that, I was always into music more than I was into studying. So I never really got into any good colleges. I got into, I think, UC Riverside and maybe UC Merced. And that was it. I didn't get into anything. I think I got into maybe a Cal State. So it was like, education-wise, it was like, I don't think I was prepared for college because I never really studied that hard in high school. So I started actually at community college. But more importantly, around the time when I was a senior, my dad actually went and got cataract surgery done. And he, you can see him over there. He's a little heavy set. He's diabetic. He got surgery done, and apparently you're not supposed to get that surgery done if you have diabetes, especially in both eyes. So there was some complication. He started to lose his vision. And, get a call one day from when he was at work, and he's like, hey, I can't really see without clearly. So he was kind of like, what the hell's going on? And, we started to see his health like really decline, and probably emotionally was very draining. My dad's always been the provider of the house. And me, kind of growing up with like the brother in my house that was disabled, and like seeing now my dad's health issues. And I have a grandmother who's, on his side that's also had stuff. I always felt like health issues are so prevalent in my family that I have to do something differently. Otherwise, it's just going to continue on with me. And at that time, I think in my life, I was roughly 18, I think maybe turning 18 at the time. And I just realized, well, I want to take care of myself. And it was twofold. Look better. So because I wasn't really tall, so I thought it could help, my image and my confidence in myself, which I had plenty of. I was a very outspoken kid. Like, even if bullies came at me, like, they knew that verbally I could hold my own. Like, if, you want to come at me, like, I'm very quick too. So, but it was like, it was good for that. And it was mainly like, okay, how do I fix myself? So when I have a family and have children, I never want them to suffer because I didn't take care of myself. And that's where it started, or that's what fueled that fire of trying to take care of myself. And I asked my parents for a membership to the gym. But before I got that, I was like working out at the side of my bed frame in the house, like making stuff up.
Good for you.
Just looking up online exercises, didn't know what I was doing, but just started doing stuff, like until it hurt. And then like pushing myself a little bit more, and then started to see some results. Started going to 24-hour fitness. I met up with this older gentleman who used to be a former Mr. California back in the day. And he saw this young kid with a lot of this kind of energy and stuff. And he was
super rad.
He just kind of like brainwashed me into thinking like I could do something with it. And started to tell me like, hey, why don't you try this? And why don't you do it like this? Put more structure into my training, like told me, okay, you got to train certain body parts a day because you can't do all of it in one day. So I was like, okay, that's cool. That makes sense. Like it was logical, right? And then I started to get more interested in the subject matter. So I always do well when I have like people I can talk to. So I'm in a lot of ways like you. I'm not fond of like doing all the research myself, but I can get into it. Like recently, YouTube has been a really good help for me. Like I can go into these deep traps of like a topic, and I basically consider myself, man. And you're just like 10, 15, 20, 30 hours into some content that you're really into, and you're just like, whoa, because I can absorb information if I can hear it, if I can watch it. But if I have to reading I really got into recently, but bodybuilding became like this escape for me. I could leave my house, and at that time, rather than going out partying and doing drugs and doing other things, I figured going to the gym, my parents were okay with that, so every night at 8 o'clock, I'd be in the gym and I'd come home around midnight. So like work out for 2 hours, go into the steam room, talk to Steve, talk to the friends that I made there, all people that were like, you guys, business owners, people that come late at night and just worked and tired, and now they're trying to relax. And, just kind of learned a lot from these people. Just became like this family outside of my family. I had like a support group going, and it just became like this thing that I thought was good to do. And I started to feel good when the results came. And then I did the first contest and I think I was 19 years old, and I took second place, and then I was just hooked. I was like, well, I think I can I think I can win. So I was just like, I got to win one of these. So it just became like egotistical.
Yeah.
And then I lost a bunch of time. I got second place and third place, and I got second place, and I got third place, and I got second place, and then I got first place.
Awesome.
And the night I got first place, I was actually terribly disappointed in myself. And I was just completely like, that's it, huh? Now what? Yeah. Like I felt like everything that I had defined for myself was over now. Like achieved what I wanted. So it was never about the end destination, I guess, it was the biggest realization, and everything that I thought that I defined myself as. I was like, well, what do you do now?
Journey though.
Yeah, it was crazy journey. And like, I realized that that's what it's all about. It's about the process. How do you immerse yourself into the process? Because it's almost like getting there was way more fun of a journey than actually getting there. Because when I got there, I was just thinking about what's next.
Oh, absolutely.
Couldn't even live in the present. Literally, like I was really not that happy that day. It was weird. Like it was all almost like I had to posture because I didn't feel I looked the best that I could have, because you're very critical when you're a bodybuilder.
You're your own worst critic.
You are
anyways.
the worst critic of yourself.
Yeah.
So always.
So it became like, and once I started to work for real, I realized, I couldn't be in the gym as much as I was, because I would be in the gym for, if I'm getting ready for a contest, sometimes 3 times in the day, like start off at 5 a.m, do a cardio session for an hour on the stairs. I was doing about an hour and a half of cardio when I was really like not getting results. I did one show in 2014, which was the Muscle Beach Classic. It's an outdoor show. I did it about 5 weeks before my main show that I wanted to do. Bodybuilding is, by the way, just a male beauty pageant. No way, 2 ways around it. It's a very subjective sport. There's no objective way of judging. If you put 8 people in the room and you ask them which person looks the best, they're all going to have a different opinion.
Right.
But there's certain criteria that they use, and they use symmetry, and they use like how, round the muscle looks, how defined it is,
like
how dry the skin is. Yeah, there's certainly different metrics. Aesthetics is a thing. Like it has to look balanced out. Like all these guys, like from Arnold's days and stuff, they're very like aesthetic looking, and the way they moved. I got really good at posing. like bodybuilding posing. I really got into that as like an art form because I was always kind of interested in dance and stuff. So, you know, how do you move with your body and flow with it? So I was really good at presenting myself because I came from the drumming path. Always being on stage and stuff like that, being in front of a crowd was like something that I wanted, you know, so learned around that. And that's what was my strength, is like I could hide my weak points, which I learned from Steve, like by the way you hold yourself on stage, by the way you cover certain weak points that you have, but show your strengths and stuff like that. So it's all like in your head. Bodybuilding is all in your head. The physical stuff, the torture is there, but it's all mostly in your head. You're playing with your own self.
Yeah.
You don't want to wake up in the morning. You don't want to eat the same dry tasting food. I was drinking egg white cartons, 4 of them a day at one point, trying to like cut a little bit more leaner into my body fat, you know, trying to get down to those, because you get to the real fine level, like you are looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, all of this is my fault the way it is because it's me not doing this. And you see where you can pick up the slack, because it's all just you optimizing your system as most critically as possible as you can without going completely insane. But you have to be somewhat insane.
Yeah, totally.
And it was just not healthy. Honestly, the reason I got into it was to be healthier, you know, and it wasn't healthy because I realized quickly after being a competitive athlete that anything that you do where you're that competitive or you're trying to be, you're going to start to do things that are detrimental because you're now worried about being competitive and winning something rather than what your objective was. Yeah. And after that night, I really kind of had to relook at what is it that I'm trying to do here and what do I want to do. And, you know, fast forward after, you know, having that sort of depressive state came out where Blossom sort of came into, because I felt like I was in a really dark place, like a dark cloud was always over me at all times wherever I went. And I was living up in the Bay Area and I was living alone. So my family was down here, you know, and I was dating Mimi at the time and she was down here too. So once I started work and I started making a lot of money at a young age, I was making 6 figures at 24, you know, so like I always knew how to get shit done. That mentality was there with me from bodybuilding. Like, oh, you want me to get a job in engineering? Like I got through college because of work ethic and good friends. Those are my 2 secrets. It's like I knew how to like get the stuff done that needed to get done, but I got it done because I had made good connections with the right people who could help me figure out what I needed to figure out, you know, because I couldn't do it otherwise. Yeah. And the same thing I did with like the job stuff. Okay, what do we need to figure out? So I'm kind of in this weird place where now I work and I use my skills and I work for a really awesome company in the Bay Area now. They sell integration, you know, capabilities, and I'm kind of dealing with the customers. I'm basically doing when somebody buys something, you know, so what was marketed to you, what was sold to you, and what is the reality of your current state. I'm sort of mediating all of that, making sure that they're consistently getting the value that they signed up for and that their enterprise is getting that value. So it's a lot of it's relational. A lot of it's like talking to people and getting to the bottom of what it is that's going on and building that really strong reciprocal relationship with them so that we can continue that forward in perpetuity, basically, you know, make sure that you're consistently happy with us and we're happy with, you know, the outcome here collectively. And Blossom came about because I was in that dark place and I thought, okay, I need to get myself out of it. And I thought of the concept of like, how does a seed know that it needs to blossom into a flower? Like that's all it wants to do. Get some water, some sunlight, and it knows what it wants to do. It wants to get into its top potential. The best thing that it could do is to blossom into this flower. So I thought, this is what I want to do with my life, is I want to turn into the best version of myself that I can. So, and letting my life blossom, and in turn letting other people's life blossom by giving them the same things that I'm learning and the same things that I found helpful. Sharing that is basically where all of this came about, is like make a safe place, make that environment, because then I can replicate that in my professional life and my personal life. My inner purpose will be aligned with my outer purpose and what I'm doing. So this is all just kind of that journey. I don't have it figured out. I haven't jumped the ship where I've like said, okay, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to start my own business and do this. That is in the foreseeable future, hopefully. But, you know, I have to figure it out, right? Like meeting people like you.
But look what you're doing here. Like, this is huge.
Yeah.
Not everybody can just like grab a microphone and like put whatever this smorgasbord is.
I didn't know any of this a few months ago.
See? And you've taught yourself. And I mean, that's pretty fascinating. Yeah.
Thank you. You. I hope, you know, I can continue this forward and stick to it, because I'm taking this on just like when I started working out. I was 113 pounds when I started working out, and I was 5'5.5".
113 pounds.
Yeah, that's when I
I
started.
don't remember the last time I was 113 pounds.
Yeah, I was a small kid, and then heaviest I've ever been is like 175, like muscular, and I've gotten big like 190, but like it was a little thick. And then
190.
for
Crazy.
somebody as small as me, that's massive. Cause
Yeah.
and like I couldn't breathe right. Like I felt, like it was just like it's a lot on a small frame. So that's what the one thing you learn is that your body is proportional to you. So your organs are proportional to you. Your endoskeleton is proportional to you. So when you start to push that to the limits, you're gonna see, like I couldn't sleep on my side. Like I couldn't wear, pants for a while. My legs wouldn't fit into stuff. It's just like you start to see
crazy.
weird things like that.
Wow, that's interesting.
And then you're like, oh, you're this small big dude. So you're like kind of living this weird sort of life. And
You're like in between.
yeah, man, it was trippy. So now it's just like kind of figuring out balance of everything.
That's I think something that I've like. It took me a long time to learn, and that's
Yeah.
I was always like it was all or nothing for me.
Yeah.
It's like shredded 6-pack, guns or nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, and it was like one or the other. And then I just realized, like, as I'm getting a little bit older, it's like it's about balance.
Yeah. You got to figure out what will work the long term. Same thing
Absolutely.
seems like in business is the same strategy and in life is the same strategy. Otherwise, how do you expect to sustain? So I'm thinking if I put more content out, like this stuff is going to live beyond me, hopefully. And if I start now, maybe in the next decade, this is to me like the gym. It's like reps and sets. The more of these conversations we can have, the better they're going to get, and the better I'll get at this. So
Yeah.
why not just keep practicing and just keep doing it more and more, and one day this will be something.
And the same thing that swaps even on our side. Like I say, like we're constantly doing research and I'm like constantly looking forward to sharing like all the content that we have that we've learned about water and how good it is for your body. And your body is like a garden.
Yeah.
You
got to tell people this stuff.
Yeah.
What
And
is
so-
your body made of? You were saying this
Mostly
today.
all water, right?
Oh, it's
were
like
you saying today?
75% water and then 25.
that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 75% water and then 25%, solid matter like your bones and your muscles.
And your brain
your
was
organs.
you gave
Your
me these.
organs, your brain is 85% water and 15% fat.
So something that you might already know. So in bodybuilding, what you do is about the last 48 hours, you dehydrate yourself.
Oh yeah.
So what I would do is like I'd be drinking those 3 gallons of water like for months and months and months, pumping myself through so much water, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to put as much water into the muscle so it looks nice and full and round.
Yeah. Do you want to be a raisin or do you want to be a grape?
Yeah, and then what you're trying to do though, at that last like little, few days, you're trying to get all the water that's above the skin out of your system so that the muscle can push up against the skin and like look as, ripped as it possibly can. So a lot of people do
Dehydrated as
weird
possible.
stuff. Yeah, people do like take diuretics and stuff, which is pretty dangerous for your health because those will take out maybe too much water and then you're in the hospital or worse, you're dead. And it can literally get that critical. So I never really did any of those drastic ones, but I would cut out my water intake like completely for about 2 days, where I'm only like, I would do crazy things like I would like chew on ice and then spit it out, or I would like open up a faucet,
Crazy.
lick my tongue in the water, get it wet, and then like close the faucet, because you're not used to it if you don't drink water, right? And the worst part is because you've been drinking water for so long now, for so much, and now you're dehydrating yourself. But it's a mental game.
Yeah, you can live with no food for like 2 to 3 weeks,
Yeah.
but you can't live without water for past 3 days.
Yeah.
So you're saying if I like dehydrated myself for like 2 days, like this, like right here,
No,
like
you can't eat 3
So there's a
burritos
few
in a
things.
weekend.
Well, so there's things. So carbohydrates need water to digest
Yes.
to a certain degree. So what you do is, at that time I'm already pretty lean, but I'm not as lean as I could be. So what I do is I've carb depleted myself because my carbs are probably low. So what you do is you cut out the water, but you then up the carbs. So whatever water's in your system will get absorbed to process those carbohydrates, but then you got to be careful because then you'll also get bloated because now you're eating all this processed stuff, maybe extra carbs that you're not used to. So my problem was the day of the show, which I've never really talked about, is like I had somewhat of like a bloating going on in my lower ab, so my abs didn't look as sharp as they could, and that pissed me off a lot because I know I won that day, but I didn't look the best. Like I knew
Okay.
that I could have looked better, and I knew I could
get
have
it.
done this and that. But it's like the problem is bodybuilding is such a weird sport, and if you can even call it that, because the sport part is really in the gym, and then when you're getting on that stage the day of the competition, one micro miscalculation and you're screwed. Your tan is off, you don't look good under the lights, You maybe are too stressed out, so your body's releasing cortisol, which is making your muscles look more and more round and not as ripped because you're holding more water now. Maybe you're bloated, which has happened to me.
Did you have to tan?
I did. You
Really?
have
But
to.
You didn't
Everybody has
you
to.
just rubbed on the tan, though,
No,
right?
no. I had myself painted about 3 or 4 coats of tan every single day for the last like 4 days. So
But
I
you're
So
already
you're basically
tan.
like staining.
That's not how
you're
it
like
works.
staining your body.
so the reason you have to do that is because when
Can't
you
be
get
good.
well, it's temporary. So yeah, it's probably not the most ideal, but you need to do it. Here's why: because when you're under those lights, they are very, very bright. So unless you're extremely dark, you're not going to see anything. Like you will completely look washed out. You will not.
Really?
Yeah. So you won't see anything. So and plus, think about it this way: I'm competing. I'm brown, but then I'm competing with black guys who are also putting tan on. So how does that work, right?
Interesting.
So everybody has to look basically
Does
the same
anybody
color.
like, you know how you can like chisel out your muscles, like make it like,
Airbrush it a little bit.
yeah, or like, you know, contour.
Oh yeah,
like,
people
I'm gonna
do that, but
contour
bodybuilding is
my
a little bit more
core.
extreme than that. People take side enhancement injections. They'll put like certain oils into this muscle right before the contest, so it would bulge it out some more.
So crazy.
You know, there's always there's all kinds of crazy stuff I can
have
talk
a
about.
question.
Yes, please.
Did you ever like? Is there anything that you like you might like have regretted doing, or like that you realize now that you're like, oh dang, like I from what I did then is totally messing me up now.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll say it publicly. Like I tried taking steroids. You know, I tried doing all of that because I had lost so many times, and I did try the drugs out. But the problem was I didn't understand what I was really doing in that realm entirely. But I was thought that I was in good hands. And then, but the thing is, it's all like kind of under the table. You don't necessarily know where this stuff is coming from. This is the for real problem: is that people that do it. I still got away pretty well, but most people get a lot worse where they'll probably be, who knows what they're getting their stuff from, where it's from, and
Yeah.
it's not regulated. It's all, you know.
I remember a friend, like he had his skin had ripped open
Ooh,
because
he had an infection.
yeah, and I mean he had a huge scar
Yeah.
back in the day, and I was just like, I mean he was a bodybuilder, like,
Yeah.
that's what he did.
Yeah,
And
I mean, so the stigma attached to the drugs is really like, oh, it's cheating and this and this and that. It's like, okay, well, first and foremost, who are you doing it for? That's what you got to figure out. Are you trying to do this for yourself, or are you trying to do this for other people? I think there comes a point in time where if you're trying to figure out, like, if you're trying to do this for real and it's for you, and you want to see what you can take yourself to. I mean, that was really my mentality. Like, I figured, okay, I'm young, I know my body will recover, and I'm not doing anything that drastic, and I wanted to see what it was like. I'm pretty sure the stuff that I tried was very underdosed, and probably a lot of it was fake because the results I got from it were not anything more exceptional than I already looked, because for the amounts I tried, it was like I should have looked a lot better potentially. So it's hard to say, but at the same time, it's like I do wish that I had better understanding of that, and I do now from the experience. So I tell people honestly, when most common thing I get asked is this, is like, I've seen somebody that just been working out. Granted, I worked out for 4.5 years before I did anything. People will start doing shit like first day before they even start going to the gym, and they don't have even a structure or a discipline in place.
yeah,
And they'll just be like, oh man, what should I take? What should I take? What should I do? I'm like, what are you
Like,
talking
get to
about?
the gym
Like, work out, eat
Just
food,
go.
do cardio. You're fat.
day
Like,
one.
what are you doing? You know,
Absolutely.
like kind of walk them through that whole process.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, okay, well, are you getting somewhere where you want to? Okay, cool. Now let's see what else you could potentially try. And this is a personal decision. It's not a public decision. You don't make this for other people, because it's your body, you know. And I think if you're not in that space and you don't understand that, then you're not ready for it. If you think that I mean, that's kind of like, I knew what I was doing at the time. Like, I knew that it was the decision that I made, and it was a scary one. But and now this is actually the first time I think it's been recorded, this part. I've never actually told it online. But I'm open to it, like I want to help somebody with it. If they're in that crossroads and they're trying to figure it out, you need to get educated and you need to figure it out for yourself. It's not the worst thing
And that's
in the
another
world.
platform. That's why you have this platform, is
Yeah.
to share your stories,
Yeah.
because those experiences, there's going to be somebody that's relating.
Yeah,
with you.
100%. I think I've off the record told the same story to hundreds of people that have asked me the same question after they see my photos, after they see what I've done. And I tell them, like, it's almost the downside is that people take that the fact that you've done something like that and then they discredit everything else that you've done because they think that that's all it
It's
took.
unfair.
So that's the downside of it, you know, because you think, oh, well, it's just the drugs. But it's like, no, it's really not.
No, there's so much
you
more
know,
than that.
Like that's like the smallest part of the whole equation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to say that that's not abused. There's plenty of people that are very much
Right, there's
abusing the drugs
extremes.
and they're taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's the freak show, man. Like the big boy bodybuilding is the freak show. You're going to see a freak show. You want to see the freaky guys. You want to see the dude that's got the 30-inch thighs and the 25-inch arms and like the, you know, massive chest and the shoulder. That's what you want to see. You want to see a freak. You don't want to see like an average dude, you know?
Yeah.
Like so, but that's what it is. It's become. But it's a beauty pageant. It's a men beauty pageant.
So you still watch what you eat, and
I mean, I watch it and then I put it in my mouth. That's about as much as I'm watching it.
can I ask you another personal
Please,
question?
ask me.
Is your dad? I mean, are we running out of time? Do we need
No,
to
we
like
have
run?
we got time.
Is your dad still with you?
Yes, he
with
is.
us?
Yeah,
Okay,
Dad's
awesome.
cool. His vision got a little bit better.
It did?
He actually did a lot of like sort of breathing stuff, meditation stuff, and things like that. I think at the time, which helped him. But I think
How's his eyesight? Is that?
it's not recovered like to the point where he can like do everything, but
Uh-huh.
he's functional. You know, he can kind of do for his own, and he does everything for
Did
you know, my
he
grandma and
change
stuff.
his eating habits?
No, not necessarily. So that was kind of like, you know, my challenge is trying to figure out if I can help them do that. But then this is like where everybody's challenge is. You're trying to get your family to change in a certain direction. It's resistant and they have their own ways. So you have to kind of work with it. And like, you know, my strategy is like I shouldn't say strategy. My challenge now is becoming that after I've gotten away from the competitive like thing, I have a difficult time like making sure that I stick to somewhat of a discipline so I'm not completely off the rails, because I've done that too. After being so disciplined, once I started working and making money, living up in the Bay Area, I just had deprived myself of all the partying and the drinking and the hanging out and the dating and,
Yeah,
and
so
all
you
of that
just
stuff. So I was
indulged.
basically indulging on that while I was making the money and staying away. So how do you figure that out? You know, like you have to find a balance with both. So that's really like the key takeaway
Yeah.
for me is like everything
too.
I do is like, how do I find a way to have fun, but also remain somewhat structured, because otherwise your life is completely chaotic. There's no structure. You're screwed.
It's tough.
You know,
That's-
you can't get anything done.
That's again, I feel like that's just a challenge for me on a daily basis is
Yeah.
finding that balance. Like, you know, you talked about family and trying to get them on the same page as you are. Just it's your family. You want to help them and provide for them as much as you can and share
Yeah.
all this knowledge that you've learned along the way. And like when my dad got sick, you know, you say like all this illness, like this chronic illness is in your family. You're like, I want to change that for me and
Yeah.
my family. And, you know, when my dad got sick, I was like, you know, juice cleanse and raw vegetables and clean eating and no processed food and no sugars. And, you know, like my dad had brain cancer and
Yeah.
glioblastoma, which is just a fancy name for brain cancer. And that doesn't run in our family, it just randomly.
Yeah.
And so I immediately went into, I think that's really what kind of started my whole thing into, you know, more of the science part of stuff and the nutritional side of things. And so I was like trying to do this, and, you know, the doctors were telling my mom and my sisters and I, it's like, you know, this could take him tomorrow or this could take him in, you know, a year.
Yeah.
But the end is inevitable. And it was a butterfly blastoma. So it was a tumor over both parts of the brain. So it was inoperable. And, I'm sitting here trying to like, you know, talk about all this nutritional stuff. And my dad, who's not necessarily cognitive, you know, he was for like a couple weeks after steroids, but, you know, all he wanted was an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie and a milkshake. And
Yeah.
there was a point where my mother is my best friend, and her and I like really got into so many disagreements because here I am from the nutritional side and here she is trying to just provide the best life that she can give her husband
Yeah.
in his final time. And so we got in a lot of arguments. And at this point it was like, she was like, she called me Sarah because it's actually Sarah Ashley. She's like, Sarah, it's quality over quantity at this moment.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I had to take that step back. And that was a really hard thing for me to do, especially because I am so passionate about nutrition and I am so passionate about,
Right.
healing the gut and, all that. So
Everybody seems to listen to you pretty well these days,
thanks.
including my parents, your mom,
Yeah.
friends and family. They really take in what Ashley has to say because she does a lot of research and she's
I might not be able to pronounce the scientific words to everything.
What does it
but-
matter if you understand the basic principles and you can articulate it to
Right.
somebody that's not so caught up on it? That's the key.
Yeah.
And that's primarily what I'm trying to do. Is if I was telling Anthony when I was talking at the water store for a long time, is if I could get better at speaking, then my time that I spend with anybody talking is
Yeah.
much more valuable. That
Exactly.
the stuff I'm saying is well articulated, is to the point, and I'm able to understand, and they're able to understand me. That's my biggest pet peeve, is misunderstanding what I'm trying to say, and that can come off as like the tone of voice, the way you said it.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, give me a
See?
chance to explain myself entirely.
And so since I've become plant-based, like I'm super passionate about that as
Yeah.
well. Like I've always been passionate about nutrition, but now that I know so much more about, just processed foods versus real food,
Yeah.
I, at the beginning, they always say like, vegans can only talk about vegan stuff, and
How do you know somebody's vegan? They'll tell you.
yeah, they can. Yeah, right. Exactly. And so I found myself like falling into that. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, but that comes off so,
Yeah.
I don't know, just nasty. And it was
Just a part of it,
Yeah, I wasn't trying to put people down. I was just trying to share the knowledge that I had. So I really had to step back, and I'd go back to that ego thing. Like I had to step back and be
Yeah.
like, I need to work on my delivery. And I need to work on that, not like you need to do this. It's like it would be good for you, or it was good
Yeah.
for me, or talk about experiences.
Or it's
over.
great. It's great if people are like, I'm eating less of this and I'm eating more of the healthy choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't all do it, and we're all guilty of.
Yeah, but it's just giving people like obtainable things, making one good choice a day, or one healthy food choice a day, or
Absolutely.
one
Like,
nutritional food.
Instead of like me eating like fruit and like chili powder and like salt on it at night, like maybe I should eat we talked about, like a handful of spinach.
There you
Be a
go.
tough one, but yeah.
There you go. I used to actually make this quiche before I went to bed, and it was egg whites in a pan, and like spinach and like tomatoes, and it was nasty, and like try to make that go down inside of me because I had to eat the calories somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was low calories, I was still hungry, so I had to find a way to like eat poverty style, but keep it high protein. So I've eaten some real nasty stuff, and
Just to get in the
just to kind of get it in what I needed, but also like to curb the hunger, because that is a big part of it. You do get hungry,
Yeah.
but then that's also a mental thing. It's like I wish I knew more
It's
meditation.
also a
then.
hydration thing.
Yeah, it is. But I was also
yeah.
drinking like 3 gallons of water, so that
True.
wasn't helping me.
Yeah.
But for like the normal person,
Fair enough,
like
yeah.
What's
if
your-
they're hungry, it's typically because they're
What's your
thirsty.
go-to if you like, you're gonna have a meal, like it's gonna be like the best meal? Like, what's your go-to? Is like pizza? Is
You
it
mean like a
burrito?
clean one or a dirty one?
No,
No,
I
a dirty
think
one.
like an indulged,
pizza, burrito. Is it like a buffalo?
I like
chicken?
burritos, and I used to always like, In-N-Out was always good. I used to eat Taco Bell a lot.
Who
Believe it or
didn't?
not. Del Taco
I'm trying
was a
not
good
to make my
thing.
face talk for
I wasn't.
itself.
I wasn't a Del Taco guy.
I got
was-
into Del Taco because it was right close to where we lived in Irvine.
Convenient.
And so it became like you get 2 chicken burritos, but you tell them to grill it in the panini press or the press.
Okay.
And so they grills the tortilla itself, and then you tell them to add the red and green sauce. So if
okay.
anybody wants to do that,
You're
that's pretty
hilarious.
solid.
That's actually
Taking
pretty good.
notes.
Yeah, they're pretty solid burritos.
We used to go to Taco Bell and get add nacho cheese to everything.
Oh man.
Not me.
Oh,
Yeah, Taco Bell is like a guilty pleasure, man. It's terrible, but it's good. I used to, when I would try to gain a little bit of weight, I would eat out one meal a day. So I would eat either like Taco Bell because it was convenient, or like Del Taco or In-N-Out once a day, and then the rest of the meals were clean. But then when I was in contest prep time, the 3 months out, 20 weeks out or something like that, it would just be like slowly taking out more and more of the good stuff, like no bread after one point, no peanut butter, no this,
Whoa.
none of that. Take everything out. So you're just down to like, I think at one point I would eat like throughout the day, like the proteins were ground turkey, ground beef, and salmon patty, tuna, and protein shakes, of course, and eggs.
This is
and
in
egg
a day?
whites. This was in a day.
oh my
I'd
gosh,
vomit.
Yeah, it was. I used to go to the bathroom about 3 times a day because I had to.
it's impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Didn't have a squatty potty then. Didn't even know that existed. Would have been a life changer,
Right?
game changer.
I
Should've
turn
invented
the trash cans upside down when I'm in a hotel.
He was telling me that was my big thing because when I travel now, I'm like, it's not the same as home.
Oh, no.
Ashley has a collapsible one.
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing.
Oh yeah. I
Oh,
got
man,
it
I
for
gotta-
a white
I gotta
elephant
get
gift.
me
It'll
one
lay
of these.
Flat.
They
in
flatten
your-
out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but ours just like tucks in, just goes right to the side.
Amazing.
It's awesome, and we have a bidet.
Amazing. Oh,
you want
very
to
nice.
up your
Yeah, I'm
bathroom
familiar
game.
with that stuff because in India they use those in some consistency because they don't use toilet paper over there.
Yeah.
You know, that was like a new thing I learned when I moved to this country.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's kind of stuck with me. We just smear shit along. Literally. That's what we're doing. But anyway, that's another topic. Is there anything that we haven't talked about today that you think would be most valuable to bring out, before we conclude? You can look at your notes if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like this
I'll
always
look at
happens. I mean,
my piece of like terrible paper, which I wrote and then spilled protein shake on earlier.
I mean,
So I can't
I
even-
literally have like a list of notes, but I think this is just something that I talk about on a constant basis, just like, treating your body with respect
Yeah.
and, making a conscious decision on drinking water. I
Yes.
feel like it's so easy to do, but we
don't do it.
and I realized like even for me, I was using, one of those hydro flasks or one of those bottles where like I couldn't see the water. So I wasn't like
Yeah.
reminded like how much water I'm actually
That's a good
Actually
point
not
because
drinking.
I don't drink as much when I have this.
Right, because you
when I used to
can't
have
see.
a gallon, I would be drinking it all the time.
right.
Yeah,
Because
'cause
you
you see
you
it.
have a constant reminder
a
like,
good
oh my
point.
gosh, look how much. So I switched my water bottles to make sure
Clear.
that yes, so I can see how much water
That's
I
a
have
good
left.
observation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So then you're like, oh, it's a constant reminder. Like, oh, I need a
Yeah,
drink.
yeah.
So, again, like your body is a garden. And a lot of people don't realize, like, if you're not drinking water on a daily basis, I mean, or take your body, divide it in half, and that's how many ounces of water that you should be having. And a lot of people don't think that, like, or they're like, oh, I had
Body
coffee.
weight divided in half, you mean?
Yeah, your body weight.
Body weight, okay.
Body weight divided in half. And then that's how many ounces you should be
Dang.
drinking in water.
Okay.
And so, but people be like, oh, I've had tea or coffee. And it's like, yes, that's made with water, but that's caffeine. That's dehydrating.
Yes.
So you have to make up for that cup of coffee or tea that
I'm
you've
glad
had
you
as
brought
well.
that up because I was pumping myself with so much caffeine at the time when I was a competitive athlete.
Dehydrating.
Very much dehydrated.
Yeah. And so you have to, and people don't realize again that it's like, the way your organs in your body, functions. It's like we use our kidneys. So we're, if we're trying to, we have to use our kidneys to flush out our water goes
Yes,
through our kidneys
that's
and
the system that cleans it up.
cleans it. And it's like, if we're not drinking enough water to keep our kidneys working, then our liver has to step in. And it's like, then our liver is being overworked because we're having to make up for the amount of water that we're not drinking to take care of our kidneys. And so
Right.
it's like, this is this whole thing. So it's really important that you're getting enough water. And you want to talk about like bathroom, like if, constipation, like basically water is a lubricant
Yes.
for your body.
Yes.
And you have to drink water because water is a nutrient, and it's also helps you detoxify what's in your body. So it does double duty.
Right.
So I'm such a believer, and even like if you're trying to lose weight, like weight loss is, it's always everybody's always trying to be in shape,
Yeah.
especially in San Diego. Come on.
Yes.
It's like, I mean, maybe not this year,
I've
but
had
it's
to,
like summer
I've had to
24/7.
get back on my game since I moved down here. That was a large
Yeah.
part of it because I was literally being up in the Bay Area because it's always colder
Mm-hmm.
and having to wear a jacket. I'm not looking at myself, kind of like what you're saying about the water.
Yeah.
I'm covered up all the time in jackets. Oh, I'm not really seeing myself put on 5, 6, 7, 10 pounds.
Exactly.
And the moment you start putting one of your old pants on, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and you're slowing your metabolism down when your liver has to jump in and help your kidneys. So, if you're not drinking enough water,
Fair enough.
you're just going to store fat. So, but yeah, just being healthy, getting sleep, getting rest, meditation, exercise, and it's all tied into living longer and looking healthier, anti-aging, extending your telomeres.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, any last words?
I'm good.
Wow.
Ashley says it all.
Well, listen, Ashley and Anthony, I just got to say, this has been wonderful. I think we've been on for 2.5 hours.
I think people have probably stopped listening.
Well,
by
that's
now.
totally fine. But I've had a great old time. This has been really good for me. I'm really glad that I got to know and make 2 new friends today,
Yeah,
even deeper
absolutely.
than I've had for my initial introduction.
Absolutely.
So I want to continue this forward. You guys can come back anytime you want.
Cool.
The studio is open if you ever want to do a water, PB local H2O podcast, because I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
You could do like weekly, monthly, whatever podcast
Love
where about the
that.
water store, what kind of stuff is up to and stuff like that. Trader Joe's has a podcast.
Do
Do they really?
Yes, they do.
Super cool. I love podcasts.
You
I
got
feel,
to.
I feel like you really helped me to like take the next step in some of my social media game. That
Really?
day, the
That's
day
good.
you came in and you're like, hold on, explain this system to me. And then Mimi recorded it and you were there and it was
Yeah.
just like, that was really interesting. Ashley like saw it and she's like, oh my gosh, babe, that was awesome.
So good. So
Yeah,
good.
I think like you guys, we started the conversation with, like keeping it honest and real about what it is you're doing. I think people should know what it takes. I think you posted a post today or a couple days ago, where you were showing the pH balance and the TDS balance, the total dissolved solids in the water. Like, yep, I do this 3 times a day. I'm doing this to make sure that the water is consistent and every day it tastes the same. And it's like, okay, that's good to know. Like,
Yeah.
that's the truth. That's the reality of what you're doing.
Quality.
And then, of course, like that, after people get kind of over that, then this is where we can have enough. Got 1,000 ideas and 1,000 more.
I love it.
So
We love
and then
it.
We'll keep
Keep
throwing them
sharing.
out.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
cool. I appreciate this. If
for
anybody's
having us.
been with us for this long, have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
All right.